Senator Mariam Sheikh Omar, is another bill that will be considered under the Committee of the Whole, and so is the Agricultural and Livestock Extension Services Bill, and this is Senate Bills number 12 of the year 2022 by Senator Maureen Tabitha Mutinda. This afternoon, senators are set to resume debates on the Manx Bill, the Startup Bill, as well as the Persons with Disability Bill, and this is Senate Bills number 7 of the year 2023 by Senator Crystal Asige. Similarly nominated Senator Crystal Asige, in conjunction with Senator Professor Margaret Kamal, have a bill that will be considered by the Committee of the Whole. We are speaking about the Kenyan Sign Language Bill, and this is Senate Bills number 9 of the year 2023. This afternoon, senators are set to resume debate on a motion that took the better part of today morning sitting. This is a motion on the report of the ad hoc committee to investigate the proliferation of religious organizations and the circumstances leading to more than 95 deaths in Shakahola in Kilifi County. This is a motion spearheaded by the chair of this particular ad hoc committee, Senator Danson Mungatana. And there's still some time remaining for the debate on this motion. And so we expect members of the Senate to ventilate on the proposals as well as the findings and recommendations in this report. The Chairperson Committee on the County Public Investments and Special Funds, through his committee, has a motion that will be considered by the House. This motion pertains the report of the Select Committee on County Public Investments and Special Funds on its consideration of the audit reports of the water services providers for the year ended June 30th, 2019, June 2020, and June 30th, 2021, that the Senate adopts the report of the Select Committee on the County Public Investments and Special Funds on its consideration of the audit reports of the year ended June 30th, 2019, June 30th, 2020, and June 30th, 2021 of the water providers, namely Amatsi Water Services Company in Vihiga County, Bomet Water Company Limited in Bomet County, Gusii Water and Sanitation Company Limited in Kisii, as well as in Nyamira, and Nyeri Water and Sanitation Company Limited in Nyeri County. The business of the Senate is just about to commence. The Speaker, Honorable Amason Kingi, is presiding over the business. Allow me to hand you over for this live broadcast.
Tukusihi ututazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi hii yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Do we have quorum, clerk? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
The quorum bell is currently on at the Senate. Senate Speaker, Honorable Amason Kingi, is presiding over the business of the Senate this afternoon and has just directed the Sergeant at Arms to ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes. And this is a leeway given by the Speaker to allow members make their way into the chamber this afternoon. It is a full entry order paper with a lot of motions as well as bills and statements to be made as well as sought by members the report of the 146th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union and related meetings held in Manama Kingdom of Bahrain from the 11th to the 15th of March 2023 is equally a motion before senators this afternoon. This motion is spearheaded by the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Kathuri Murungi, that the Senate do adopt the report of the 146th Assembly of the Interparliamentary IPU as well as related meetings held in Manama Kingdom of Bahrain from the 11th to the 15th of March 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on the 2nd of May 2023. The chairperson, senators will this afternoon be considering other motions. One is by the chair on the Committee on Matters Security. This is a motion on declaration of cattle rustling as a national disaster and establishment of a special funds for the victims. Honorable William Chetumo seeks to have the Senate resolve that the national government, through the Ministry of Interior and National Administration, in collaboration with the Council of Governors, do declare cattle rustling as a national disaster. That the ministry, in collaboration with the Council of Governors, do establish a national task force on matters cattle rustling to investigate the causes of the rampant cattle rustling in the said region and the country at large, as well as establish to the extent the loss as well as damage of cattle rustling that has been occasioned to the communities in all the affected areas. Thirdly, the duo will be expected to create a special fund for mitigating the losses suffered by, as well as in compensating all victims of cattle rustling and settle all internally displaced persons occasioned by the menace. Nominated Senator Crystal Asige has a motion on matters designation of a monthly car-free day and county car-free zones. In this particular motion, Senator Crystal Asige seeks to have the Senate urge the Ministry of Roads, Transport, in collaboration with the Council of Governors, as well as the National Climate Council, to do 4 things. One of them is identify as well as publicize and execute suitable monthly car-free days and county car-free zones in urban areas, as well as provide affordable, safe, and efficient public transport, including but not limited to the development of the bus rapid transport, popularly known as BRT, in the urban areas, as well as encourage the use of electric hybrid buses to provide appropriate incentives for their use, and lastly, ensure that there is intermodal connectivity among various transport modes. The Maternal and Newborn Child Health Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of the year 2023, the Tea Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 1 of the year 2023, and the Rice Bill, Senate Bills number 19 of the year 2023, are bills currently at the second stage, and we expect our senators to make their contributions in regards to these bills. Pursuant to Standing Orders of the House, Standing Orders number 56, subsection 1B, the Chairperson Standing Committee on Matters Agriculture, Livestock, and Fisheries will be making a statement relating to the activities of the committee for the period beginning from July to December 2023. Similar communications as well as statements are said to be made by the Chairperson Standing Committee on Matters Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, Honorable Abbas, as well as the Chairperson Standing Committee on Matters Education, Senator John Utu, and the Chairperson Standing Committee on Matters Energy, as well as the Standing Committee on Matters Finance and Budget, and finally, the Chairperson on Matters on the Committee on Matters Health, these are just but chairpersons of committees who will be making statements this afternoon in regards to the various activities of the committee that they lead. The Senate leader of the majority party, the senator who is Senator Aaron Cheriot, who happens to be the leader of the majority party in the House, will be tabling the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Mwingi Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kitui for the year ended 30th June 2022. There will be a petition and consideration of the report in regards to this petition. This petition relates to Honorable Simeon Lungeya concerning the academic qualifications required for one to be a Speaker of a County Assembly, the Senate, and the National Assembly. The Chairperson Standing Committee on Matters, Justice and Legal Affairs will be taking care of that petition by tabling the report of the committee in regards to the petition for one to have qualifications to be a Speaker of a County Assembly, the Senate, as well as the National Assembly. Pursuant to Standing Orders of the Senate, Standing Orders number 53, subsection 1, a couple of senators are set to seek statements before various standing committees. Given priority is Senator Crystal Asige, who will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters Education regarding the rampant discrepancies in the 2023 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education results. The Senator for Nairobi County, Senator Edin Sifuna, will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters Finance and Budget concerning the restrictions imposed on taxpayers by the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA. The Senator for Kisumu County has two statements, or rather will be seeking two statements. One statement is from the Standing Committee on Matters Roads, Transportation and Housing concerning the state of operational capacity of the Kisumu International Airport. And the second statement is from the Standing Committee on Matters Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding trade and the viability of the Kisumu International Airport. The Senator for Tana River, the Senator for Turkana County, Senator James Lomenen, will be seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Matters National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding to the insufficiency of the National Police Reservists in curbing insecurity in Turkana County and the surrounding regions.
No quorum? We do have quorum. Inside the house. I don't want to go by what Senator Gloria is telling me, that there are two outside the... Good. Now that we do have quorum, Clerk, can you proceed to call the first order, please?
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Now, honorable senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation from the Institute of Economic Affairs in Kenya. The delegation comprises members of staff and students who are in the Senate for a one-day visit. Honorable senators, on behalf of the Senate and on behalf I extend a warm welcome and wish them a fruitful visit. I will allow the Majority Leader under 1 minute to extend words of welcome to welcome the delegation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would wish to join you in welcoming this team by the Institute of Economic Affairs in Kenya that is on a visit to the Senate of the Republic this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, if I am not mistaken, this is a think tank led by Dr. Kwame Owino, or probably, I think so. Yes, and I can see them nod. When we had deliberations on the cost of living at the National Dialogue Committee, Mr. Speaker, one of the institutions that I really enjoyed their presentation is this particular Institute of Economic Affairs in Kenya. I may not agree with entirely what they say about the state of our economy and the interventions being made, but it is not for lack of good intention on their part. There may be divergence on views, but they mean well for this country. And I agree with them 90%, especially in the diagnosis of how we found ourselves here as a country. We maybe differ on the approach to get Kenya out of the current economic situation. But in my years as a member of Budget and Finance Committee, I used to look forward to the memorandums they'd share each time we had bills before us. So I wish the delegation that is before us this afternoon well as they interact with the Senate, the senators, very professional staff of the Senate, and the things that they are doing here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Next order, please.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights. Senator Boni, are you a member of that committee? Okay. So then we will drop that and proceed to the next order, Clerk. Okay, Senator Dulo, I called. If you wish to present the reports on behalf of your committee, can you proceed?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I beg to lay the following petition report on the table of the Senate today, 29th November 2023. Report to the Senate on petition by Honorable Simon Lenguya concerning the academic qualification required for one to be a Speaker of the County Assembly, the Senate, or the National Assembly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order, Clerk. Majority Leader, you may consult, but kindly keep it on the down low. Thank you. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 5, papers.
The Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, 29th of November, 2023. This is a report of the Auditor General in the financial statement of Mwingi Level 4 Hospital, the county government of Kitui, for the year ended 30th June 2022. I thank you.
Next order, Clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable Senators, we're now going to call the statements. These are the requests for statements pursuant to Standing Order 53-1. The Honorable Senator Christo Asige.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Speaker. I rise pursuant...
Order, honorable senators. May Senator Christopher Sige be heard in silence. Senator Boni.
Silence.
Kindly.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education over the rampant discrepancies in the Kenyan Certificate of Primary Education, KCPE, 2023 results released by NEC. In the statement, the committee should provide comprehensive data on all instances of erroneous marking and grading of candidates from the KCPE results, specifically addressing cases where incorrect marks were awarded, wrong subjects were graded, and questionable results published, and whether NEC has looked into each issue. Explain why there were discrepancies in marks received by candidates on the NEC portal and through the SMS service provider, detailing to the Senate gaps that caused the errors and how they've been addressed. Explain why candidates that received marks for subjects they did not sit for, which has since been explained by NEC as a misalignment, and explain the impact of such misalignments on affected candidates. Explain the steps, if any, that the Ministry of Education, together with NEC and other stakeholders, plan on taking to resolve all complaints and unreported cases of discrepancies before conducting the secondary school selection without, excuse me, Chair. Let me take that again. Explain the steps, if any, that the Ministry of Education, together with NEC and other stakeholders, plan on taking to resolve all complaints and cases of discrepancies before conducting the secondary school selection process so as to not disadvantage the affected learners. Clarify the protocol and timeline available to candidates for contesting their results and addressing their needs and concerns, and the steps, if any, that NEC and the Ministry of Education have taken to assist vulnerable learners, especially those in marginalized communities across the country, who may not have the access of information and resources to make these complaints. Thank you.
Senator Edwin Sifuna. That statement is dropped. Senator Lomenan. Senator Lomenan. What is the... Senator Methu? By now you must be aware of and fully knowledgeable on the standing orders. You certainly cannot stand on a point of order. Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, as you drop that particular statement, I think, and I have been to the table of the clerks here, because I know Senator Asige has been seeking to be sent that statement so that she can read it on behalf of Senator Sifuna, and it has not been sent to her. Since I came in this afternoon, because she sent me to come and ask this secretariat to send it to her, it has not been sent to her. So I think it was not fair to drop it because somebody was standing in for Senator Sifuna, only that the statement has not been sent to her so that she can be able to read.
Well, Honorable Methu, you know, that does not help the situation. As far as I'm concerned, I've called out this particular senator. There is nobody holding his brief, and therefore the statement stands dropped. Senator Lomenan.
Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security.
Deputy Speaker, I wouldn't want to rule you after about it. Be a good example. Proceed, Senator Lomena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations regarding the insufficiency of national police reservists in curbing insecurity in Turkana County and surrounding regions. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the number of national police reservists, NPRs, currently deployed in Turkana County and its border areas, including the regions bordering Uganda, Ethiopia, Southern Sudan, Samburu, Baringo, and West Pokot. 2, state reasons for the increased cases of commercialized banditry and highway robberies along the borders of Turkana, West Pokot, Samburu, and Baringo counties, as well as international boundaries such as Uganda, Turkana, Ethiopia, Turkana, Southern Sudan, Turkana. 3, state measures in place for reinstatement and recruitment of additional national police reservists in the affected areas, providing details on the intended number of recruits, the training process, and the projected timeline for the deployment. And 4, state measures to enhance the collaboration between the NPRs and regular security forces to combat insecurity in the region, stating the kind of support being considered, including provision of insurance coverage to the NPRs to ensure their safety and effectiveness in their roles. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Professor Tom Ojenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise under Order 53-1 of the Standing Orders of Senate to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads, Transport, and Housing on the state of operational capacity of Kisumu International Airport. In this statement, the committee should, number 1, examine the current state of the airport and make recommendations on the upgrades needed for air traffic control systems and communication frequencies to enhance operational smoothness and safety. Secondly, review the existing airport surface lighting, including centerline and taxi lights, and assess the need for improvements to support operations under low visibility conditions. Thirdly, examine the dimensions of the runway and its ability to support various types of aircraft, and make recommendations on whether the taxiways can be extended to improve aircraft movement efficiency and accommodate large aircraft. And lastly, of course, including the roofs, if they are leaking. Lastly, assess the need for installing advanced navigation aids, like the Instrument Landing Systems, ILS, to enhance precision approaches and overall safety and efficiency of airport operations. Mr. Speaker, sir, my second statement is on the viability of Kisumu International Airport, a second statement on the same subject. I rise under Order 53 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism on the potential of Kisumu International Airport to handle global trade, global and regional trade. In this statement, the committee should, Mr. Speaker, evaluate the readiness of Kisumu International Airport to handle trade and business within the East African region and globally, and 2, make recommendations to enhance its competitive advantage. That's all, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on the National Security, Defense and Foreign Affairs regarding the killing of 4 men at Ngano Farm, which is owned by the Kenya Defense Forces in Tarbo constituency, Uasin Gishu County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the circumstances that led to the killings of Messrs. Kenneth Kip-Kimei, Shadrach Kip-Kimei, Daniel Kiprotich, and Cornelius Kip-Koech, following an incident at Ngano Farm, which is owned by the KDF in Kiplimo Ward in Tarbo constituency, Uasin Gishu County, on the 25th of November, 2023. 2, clarify whether there were any casualties from the incident and state any steps taken by the government to restore peace and tranquility in this area. 3, highlight any financial or psychological support extended by the government to the families of the deceased and to those who sustained injuries. And finally, Mr. Speaker, but not least, explain the reasons for the dispute between the owners of Kiplombe Farms and the Kenya Defense Forces, stating any long-term initiatives to address and resolve the underlying issues. I thank you.
Senator Lominan, you had one more statement to request. Kindly proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I rise to...
Just before you make your request for statement, Sergeant Atam, kindly assist Senator Asige to approach the chair.
I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on security enhancement along Kenya-Uganda border in Turkana County. In this statement, the committee should, 1, state action taken by the government to deal with the increasing tension and security risks along the Kenya-Uganda border in Turkana County, outlining measures put in place, if any, to ensure the prompt deployment of Kenya Defense Force in the region to safeguard the lives and properties of the residents. 2, outline any diplomatic initiatives pursued to address the violations of the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, of 2018, aiming to secure and release of detained Kenya citizens in Ugandan prisons and promote peaceful coexistence among border communities. And 3, clarify whether there are strategies implemented to enhance border security and prevent further mistreatment of or killings of individuals in Turkana County. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir.
Senator Crystal Asige.
Thank you, Speaker. This is a statement by Senator Sifuna that I'll be reading on his behalf. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on restrictions imposed on taxpayers by the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain why KRA, through its special table, suspended value-added tax, VAT, obligations on its systems without providing adequate notification, particularly for taxpayers with credit balances or disputes with the tax collector, compromising their abilities of businesses to trade or require tax compliance certificates to advance their enterprises. 2, state reasons for the suspension of VAT obligations for over 1,000 taxpayers in the 4 Nairobi tax stations by the Commissioner of Domestic Taxes through the chief, managers, exposing them to substantial financial penalties, and subsequently jeopardizing their businesses. 3, outline strategies, if any, implemented by the KRA to mitigate the punitive nature of unblocking suspended VAT obligations for taxpayers, confirming that penalties will be waived for the specified restricted period. And finally, number 4, elucidate on plans by the KRA to streamline VAT impotent output filing systems to prevent one taxpayer input from facing challenges during queries originating from another taxpayer output. That was from Senator Sifuna, Nairobi County MP. Thank you.
Statements now pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B. The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture and Livestock. Or any member of that committee. That is deferred. The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution, Intergovernmental Relations, to proceed to make their statements. Senator Abbas, the floor is yours.
Honourable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B, to make a statement on the activities of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations for the period commencing July to December 2023. Honourable Speaker, during the reporting period, the committee has carried out various activities pertaining to these mandates. As snapshot, the committee has transacted the following legislative activities. The committee considered 3 petitions which were committed to the committee. Of the 3, 2 have been concluded and 1 is pending before the committee as follows. 1 petition concerning the refurbishment of an expansion of the Kajiado municipality, marketed by the county government of Kajiado, is concluded. 2 petition concerning lack of implementation of resolutions to observe the contracted instructors under the economic stimulus program by the county government of Nyeri concluded. 3 petition concerning the state of insecurity in Turkana, county pending. I think, Speaker, that one, I don't know how it came to my committee. Issues to do with the security, I think, should have gone to Security Committee. 3B, the committee considered the following bills, of which are still under consideration. 1, the County Government Amendment Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 25.
Senator Cherengei, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker,
Senator Bass, just have your seat.
Just, Mr. Speaker, I needed your indulgence under Standing Order number 1. I know you have moved to Standing Order 56. Mr. Speaker, realizing there was a statement on the issue of KCP, which is a serious national matter, the killings of some young men in my neighboring county, I needed your guidance and indulgence that at what point can you allow us, even if it is a few minutes, to just add a few clarifications on those statements. Thank you, Chair. I stand guided.
Very well. Honourable Senator, we are on statements, whether under 52, 53, or 56. All these are statements. So once we are done with all the requests being made, once the chairpersons have put their statements forward, I will allow 30 minutes for intervention from honourable senators. Senator Bass, proceed, please. So what is the point of order, Senator Kenyua?
Mr. Speaker, I've listened to the chairman of devolution, and he
Just
said...
have a seat, Senator Abbas.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I've listened to the chairman of devolution, and there is a statement that he was supposed to handle, and he's saying he doesn't know how that statement, Mr. Speaker, landed in his...
Senator Kinyua, allow the chairperson to present his statement. Thereafter, I will give ample time for intervention. Then you may bring out your concerns, please.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Proceed, Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the same note, the committee considered the following two bills, of which are still under consideration. Bill 1, the County Government Amendment Bill 2022, Senate Bill number 25 of 2023. The County Assembly Service Amendment Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 34 of 2023. C, the committee considered and concluded the following two legislative proposals. The County Government Amendment Bill 2023, Senate Bills number 225 of 2023, the County Assembly Service Amendment Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 34 of 2023. D, the committee considered 5 statements which was sought from the committee of 5. The committee has concluded 1, leaving 4 statements pending before the committee as follows. A statement by Senator Boni Kalaule, CBS MP on the efforts of the county government of Kakamega to anchor in law the office of the first spouse, concluded. A statement by Senator Alexander Mundiki, MP on the disparity in development of the county, the Embu County, pending. A statement by Senator Agnes Kafundi, MP on the boundaries of counties, Kenya, bending bill, still bending. A statement by the Senator Muhammad Chute on the handover of the machineries, motors, and vehicles and unfinished projects from the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, NMS, to the county government of Nairobi, still bending. A statement by the Senator Muhammad Chute on the handover of unfinished projects from the 2nd to the 3rd county government of Turkana, bending. E, the committee considered the applications for conferment of the city status of the municipality of Eldoret, and the same has been finished by concluded yesterday. F, the committee initiated amendment to the Intergovernmental Relations Act of 2012 with the objective of anchoring the Secretariat of the Council of Governors and the County Assemblies Forum into law. The process is still currently ongoing. G, the committee considered matters concerning welfare, benefits, and remunerations of the members of the County Assembly, MCAs, to address the issues of the committee, held consultative meetings with the various stakeholders, including the Salaries and Remunerations Committee, the County Commission, the County Assemblies Forum, and the associations of members of the County Assembly. The committee will prepare its final report and table the report. H, the committee is currently considering matters concerning the personal security and administrative issues raised by the Deputy Governor of Trans Nzoia County. The committee invited various stakeholders, including the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, the Governor of Trans Nzoia, the Deputy Governor of Trans Nzoia, to receive the submissions on the matter. The committee is actively executing the matter and shall table the report of the outcome. Honorable Speaker, the committee in future plans to conclude all identifying of the pre-2010 constitution laws in the devolved sector, laws that need to be reviewed to conform with the constitutions and making the necessary recommendations needed for the amendments. B, to look into the performance of the counties on implementation of the budget, which with a view to oversighting the utilization of the resources meant for the devolution. C, conducting a post-legislative scrutiny of the Urban Areas and Cities Act of 2011 with the objective of proposing amendments to the framework of the management and governance of the cities and urban areas. D, to look into the process of the dissolutions of the county government with a view to making proposal on the enhanced role of the Senate in the process. And finally, to look into the current laws on the impeachment of the county governors, including the proposed impeachment procedures bill. Finally, Mr. Honorable Speaker, lastly, I wish to appreciate your office and the office of the speaker of the clerk for the facilitation and support. Thank you very much.
The Chairperson Standing Committee on Education. Education. That statement is deferred. The Chairperson Standing Committee on Energy.
Honorable Speaker, I want to present the statement by the Energy Committee on behalf of the Chairperson, Honorable Matinga. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)(b) to make a statement on the activities of the Committee on Energy for periods commencing 1st of July 2023 to 29 November 2023. Honorable Speaker, during the period under review, the committee held a total of 27 sittings, considered 5 statements, and conducted an inquiry into the high cost of electricity in the country. The committee also considered 2 legislative proposals and 1 bill and 1 petition. Honorable Speaker, the legislative proposal considered by the committee include the Local Content Bill, which is a committee bill, an amendment to the Energy Act sponsored by Senator Edwin Sifuna, MP. The Local Content Bill 2023 aims to create a comprehensive legal framework that will fully enhance local content in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, following the deliberations of the committee resolved to maintain the local content at 30%. The bill is currently awaiting publishing. The Energy Amendment Bill 2023, whose principal object of the bill is to amend the Energy Act 2019 to provide for transparency in energy purchase agreements. It was considered by the committee and approved for publication. The bill was published on 1st of September 2023. Honorable Speaker, on the bills, Mr. Speaker, the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 42 of 2023 was published on 1st September and was introduced in the Senate by way of first reading on Tuesday, 17 October 2023, and thereafter stood committed to the Senate Standing Committee on Energy for consideration and facilitation of public participation. Honorable Speaker, the rationale for disclosure of the beneficial ownership in the bill information is to create an accurate public disclosure regime that provides transparency in the beneficial ownership and control structures of the companies. This aids in not only promoting investor confidence and good corporate governance practice, but also in uncovering tax evasion schemes, money laundering practices, corruption schemes, and other illegal activities involving either one or more companies. Mr. Speaker, sir, in compliance with the provisions of Article 118 of the Constitution and Standing Orders 145(5) of the Standing Orders of Senate, the committee proceeded to undertake public participation on the bill. In this regard, the committee published an advertisement in the Daily Nation and Standard newspapers on Thursday, 19 October 2023, inviting members of the public to submit written memoranda to the committee on the bill by 3rd November 2023. The committee considered the memoranda received and adopted the report yesterday, 28 November 2023. The report basically is in the process of being approved for tabling. Honorable Speaker, on statements. Mr. Speaker, sir, regarding statements pursuant to Standing Order 53 of the Senate Standing Orders, 5 statements were sought from the committee. The committee considered and concluded 2 of these statements. In considering the said statements, the reports and responses received by the committee were shared with the respective senators, and the statements concluded. The statements that were not concluded include the following. A, statement sought by Senator James Lomenen, MB, on the electricity transmission infrastructure in major towns within Turkana County. B, statement sought by Senator Mohamed Jude, MP, regarding the status of electricity connection in Marsabit County. Mr. Speaker, the pending statements are as follows. Statement sought by Senator Alexander Mundiki, MP, seizure by government of an oil consignment. The committee has written to the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Energy and Petroleum, for response, and we are awaiting response, Honorable Speaker. Statement sought by Senator Fatuma Dhulo, CPS MP, on stalled rural electrification projects in Shola County. The committee has also written to the Cabinet Secretary for Energy and Petroleum, and we are awaiting response, Honorable Speaker. C, statement sought by Senator Edwin Sifuna on plans by the government to hand over the management of National Oil Corporation to a private investor. The committee, Honorable Speaker, has also written, and we are awaiting response. Recently, we saw National Oil is one of the entities that will be privatized. Honorable Speaker, from the previous reporting period, the following statements are still pending. On 17th of October, the committee wrote to the Minister of Energy and Petroleum, reminding them of the earlier request for statements. Statements sought by Senator Wambua regarding last mile connectivity in public schools in Kitui County. Statements sought by Senator Amida Kibwana regarding the proposed energy tariffs applicable from 2022 to 26. Statements sought by Senator Alexander Bundiki regarding the national power outage. Statements sought by Senator Joe Nyotu, MP, regarding the status of the last mile project in Murang'a County. All these four statements, Honorable Speaker, we are waiting for responses from CS, Energy and Petroleum. That's why I think it was good in the morning that we said we need a motion to be brought to this House. Honorable Speaker, on petitions, on Wednesday, 16 November 2023, a petition by residents of Uyombo village in Kilifi County concerning the protection of the right to life, health, and a clean environment and other constitutionally protected rights and fundamentals freedoms was presented to the Senate pursuant to Standing Order 236 and referred to the Senate Standing Committee on Energy pursuant to Standing Order 238-1. The prayers include ordering all responsible state agencies to remove Uyombo village from the list of possible sites for a nuclear reactor. The committee has scheduled meetings with all the relevant stakeholders and the petitioners early next year. Honorable Speaker, you know soon we'll be proceeding on recess, and we've agreed that the second week of January the 15th, we'll be going to Kilifi to listen to the stakeholders. The committee has also scheduled meetings with all the relevant stakeholders. Basically, let's repeat, the committee has a work plan to ensure that it reports back within 60 working days as by the standing orders. I believe when we come back in February, we should be tabling the report, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on county visits, the committee visited Lake Turkana Wind Power in Marsabit County. This is an independent power producer that has produced 300 megawatts into the grid using wind. And this is basically a renewable energy, Honorable Speaker. During the visit, the committee familiarized itself with the infrastructure of Lake Turkana Wind Power and noted that such critical infrastructure should be protected by our disciplined forces and not police reservists, as it is the case now. In fact, while we were there, Honorable Speaker, we saw some security breaches. The committee also noted the challenges that independent power producers are facing because of the dollar fluctuation and its unavailability. Honorable Speaker, the committee visited also Tala Oil in Turkana while we were in Senate Machinani. In 2012, Kenyans were informed of the good news that oil has been found in Kenya. However, Honorable Speaker, to date, Kenya has not been able to benefit from the oil discovered in Turkana County. During the visit, the committee noted that following exploration, a field development plan was submitted to the Minister of Energy and Petroleum by Talo in 2018, and to date, Honorable Speaker, they have not received the field development plan. So that's one of the things that we are following up. Honorable Speaker, on inquiry, the committee conducted an inquiry on the high cost of electricity in the country and adopted its report, and it was tabled on the floor of the Senate on 28th September 2023. And Honorable Speaker, we'll be asking if Senate House Business could expedite this report because it will assist in reducing the cost of power. Honorable Speaker, the committee made several recommendations, including that within 14 days after adoption of the report by the Senate, the Ministry of Energy should disclose the full identities of beneficial owners of all the independent power producers, including companies listed as shareholders in foreign jurisdiction. That thermal power plants should be converted from high fuel oil to LNG in accordance to the respective PPAs within 18 to 36 months of adoption of the report. Honorable Speaker, that the Ministry of Energy should facilitate KETRACO to prioritize completion of the following lines that will help to reduce the cost of power. The 132 kVA Narok-Bomet line within 12 months of adoption of the report, completion of the proposed 400/224 kVA Mariakani substation within 3 months of adoption of the report to allow for Suswa to Mariakani through Isinya to be energized and therefore allow more geothermal power to flow to Mombasa. And then 3, Honorable Speaker, completion of the Tarkwel or Tum Kitale line within 3 months of adoption of the report, which will stabilize power in Western region. That the Ministry of Energy, in consultation with all thermal power plants, should institute mechanism for purchase of HFO, heavy fuel oil, in bulk to reduce the cost of fuel, Honorable Speaker, and eventually reduce the cost of power. That the Ministry of Energy through KBLC and independent power producers negotiate the current power purchase agreements with a win-win solution for both parties within 12 months of adoption of the report. That KPLC should purchase power based on merit, order giving preference to cheaper power. You know, currently, Honorable Speaker, we came to understand that they can actually take on expensive power instead of taking a cheaper power. Honorable Speaker, the above recommendations are some of the many recommendations made, and we pray that we discuss the report. Honorable Speaker, additionally, following the inquiry, Senator Edwin Sifuna, member of the committee, sponsored an amendment to the energy bill, which I had said earlier, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the committee engagements are as follows. The committee also has been looking into the procurement process of prepaid meters by Kenya Power. It will shock the House that as we speak, there are over 450,000 Kenyans who are waiting for connection of prepaid meters in their homes and offices, and Kenya Power don't have meters. Mr. Speaker, if we were to make an assumption that this is basically we are saying Kenya Power is losing close to around 450 million every month by not installing these meters, and there are people who are having illegal power. Mr. Speaker, aware that the government plans to build 250,000 affordable houses every year for the next 5 years, KPLC therefore has to come up with a clear framework of procuring meters that will satisfy the demand in the country. Otherwise, we'll have houses without power. Honorable Speaker, we engaged in some of the companies that have won tenders to supply meters to KPLC, and it was very evident that majority of them are up to 70 or 100% owned by foreigners. Honorable Speaker, as a committee, we are saying we need to encourage local manufacturers so that we don't ship all the money that comes from Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, the committee has also been looking into the cost of fuel in the country. On Monday, 30th October 2023, the committee met with the companies that have been nominated to participate in the government-to-government oil agreement. These companies are Calf Energy, Orex Energies, and Kalana Energies. Calf Energy was nominated to work with Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC Trading Company to bring in diesel and jet fuel, and Emirates National Oil Company Limited, ENOC, to bring in Super Petrol. Honorable Speaker, Kalana Energies and Orex were nominated to work with Saudi Arabia Oil Group, Aramco, to bring in diesel and Super Petrol. Honorable Speaker, these three companies basically were nominated by the companies from the oil companies and not by government of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, from the meeting it was determined that the country needed $500 million every month to import 900,000 metric tons of fuel for the country and its neighbors. 60% of the total imports are consumed locally and 40% by our neighbors. Honorable Speaker, the three importing energy companies have up to 180 days to pay the import in dollars. The agreement with the initial designated bank, which is KCB, is that from day 91 to 180, the bank will obtain dollars to pay for the consignment already received. Honorable Speaker, it has also been said that the G2G oil deal and the committee is looking into this matter and it will inform the House on its findings because, Honorable Speaker, there has been many issues in the papers, but from what the committee has done, basically we've not seen any issue, Honorable Speaker. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, sir, as I conclude, the committee intends to carry out the following key activities during the next quarter. Follow up on the implementation of the recommendation made from the inquiry on the high cost of electricity. Follow up on the approval of field development plan for tall oil by the Minister of Energy and Petroleum. Follow up with the Minister of Energy and Petroleum on the protection of critical energy infrastructure, especially electric and wind power. Conduct a campaign in the country on ways Kenyans can individually save on energy costs. Meet with the Minister of Energy and Petroleum regarding procurement of energy equipments like transformers and meters, which are critical components in electricity connectivity. Continue to engage the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum regarding the government-to-government agreement on petroleum products with the aim of ensuring that the cost of fuel comes down, Honorable Speaker, and we are happy. The President reported last week that from December, the cost of fuel will be coming down. Honorable Speaker, meet with the Minister of Energy and Petroleum regarding the status of Kenya Power and Lighting Company with reference to its financial status and the losses that it is making. KPLC has projected a loss of 5.5 billion Kenya shillings in this current financial year. Honorable Speaker, I submit and table.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget pursuant to Standing Order number 56-1B for the period commencing 1st of July 2023 to 28th of November 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56-1B, the Standing Committee, the Standing Orders to make statement on the activities of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget for the period commencing 1st July 2023 to 28th of November 2023. I would like to highlight the report in several subheadings and the bills considered by the committee. Mr. Speaker, sir,
the committee considered and tabled reports on the following: the County Government Additional Allocation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023. The Senate passed the bill with amendment. The Senate amendment to the bill were transmitted to the National Assembly for consideration. The Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 30 of 2023. The committee recommended amendment to the bill, which include entirely a deletion of schedule and substituting it with a new schedule setting out a total appropriation from the fund of Kenya shillings 10,867,400,000 for financial year 2023-2024. The bill is at the Committee of the Whole stage in the Senate. The Equalization Fund Administration Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023. The bill was passed by the House with amendments and transmitted to the National Assembly for concurrence. Mr. Speaker, sir, also the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 16 of 2023. The Senate passed the bill with amendment, which were transmitted to National Assembly. The National Assembly rejected the Senate amendments to the bill. Consequently, pursuant to Article 113 of the Constitution, the bill was referred to Mediation Committee. The Mediation Committee developed an agreed version of the bill that was considered and approved by both houses. The bill was forwarded to the President for assent in accordance with Article 1133. The County Government Revenue Raising Process Bill, Senate Bill number 22 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee recommended that the Senate rejects the bill on the basis that the provision of the bill will be a clawback on the powers of the county government to impose taxes, levies, and charges under Article 2093 and 4 of the Constitution, and further, a violation of objects of devolution as set out in Article 174 of the Constitution, and in particular, self-governance and participation in decision-making. The bill proposes of an interagency committee whose mandate would be approval of introduction of new county taxes, fees, levies, and charges. This move will be equivalent to usurping the powers of the county government. Additionally, some of the provisions of the bill already exist in other acts already approved: Public Finance Management Act 2012, Intergovernmental Relations Act 2012, and the bill is currently at the second reading stage in the Senate with the advice from the committee that it be rejected. The committee is currently considering the following bills and will table its report upon conclusion: Public Finance Management Amendment Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 40 of 2023, and County Public Finance Laws Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 39 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee also considered and tabled a report on the county government equitable share cash disbursement schedule for the financial year 2023-2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, while considering the bills, the committee held consultative meeting with all the critical stakeholders as required by law. Under statements before the committee, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee has considered and concluded the following four statements: utilization of Equalization Fund in the county government of Taita Taveta by Senator John Mwaruma, MP. The committee considered the analysis of responses from CRA, National Treasury, and provided a brief to Senator Jones Mwaruma indicating that pursuant to Article 2164, there was a criteria in place for identification of marginalized areas at location level, which determined beneficiary counties under the fund. In this respect, the allocation from the fund corresponded to certain marginalized areas within Taita Taveta County. A reduction of salaries and allowances for members of the county assemblies. This is a statement by Senator Samson Cherargei. Analysis of SRC Gazette notices indicated that the monthly gross salary for MCAs remained the same in the Gazette notice number 8795 of July 2022 as it was in the Gazette notice 6818 of July 2017 at Kenya shillings 144,375. The only difference was segregation of the basic salary and allowances. The gross salary remained the same. Additionally, the SRC Gazette Notice number 10350 of August 2023 adjusted the monthly gross salary for MCS upwards by Kenya shillings 10,106 from Kenya shillings 144,375 to 154,481. Another statement by Senator Samson Cherargei MP, which was on review of salaries, benefits, allowances, and for judges and magistrates. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee processed the responses received from SRC and presented a brief report to Senator Samson Cherargei MP. SRC indicated that the number of issues raised in the statement concerning elimination of non-practicing allowance and car allowances were pending determination before the High Court. Mr. Speaker, sir, we've also processed another statement by Senator John Mwaruma, the status of release of funds for the construction of Taita Taveta County Headquarters. The committee received and considered the analysis of the responses from National Treasury. The committee noted that Taita Taveta is not a beneficiary of the conditional allocation on supplement for construction of county headquarters. That Isiolo, Lamu, Nyandarua, Tana River, Tharaka Nithi counties were the only counties that were in dire need of assistance and earmarked for benefiting from the allocation. The committee recommended that the counties, such as Taita Taveta, may consider adjusting their own budgets and providing resources for construction of their county headquarters. And another statement is by Senator Hamida Kibwana, a statement regarding withholding VAT obligation on petroleum products and its impact on business. Mr. Speaker, sir, the response from National Treasury provided that it was not a new tax stream, but a means of curbing VAT fraud or evasion. It does not charge the procedure for charging VAT and accounting for VAT charged on taxable supplies, but improving compliance and plugs the VAT gap through increased visibility of taxpayers, thus reducing VAT tax evasion. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee has made some progress in the following statements. The statement on status of pending bills in Kakamega County by Senator Dr. Boni Kalwale, CBS MP. The committee considered and scrutinized the response to the statement by Kakamega County Executive. It was noted that the response to the issues raised was inadequate and unsatisfactory. The total pending bills presented by the County Executive to the committee differed with the figures presented by the Office of the Auditor General. The committee invited the county government and the Office of the Auditor General to a meeting to deliberate the matter. The County Executive of Kakamega was directed to provide the Office of the Auditor General supporting documents for reconciliation of the amount of pending bills as at August 2022. After submission of reconciled figures by the Auditor General, the committee scrutinized the reports and the following issues were further flagged out. 1. Several roads were listed as having been constructed to bitumen standard with respective pending bills as below. That is Sitirire Malava Road at Kenya shilling 79,939,213. Navakholo Road, Kenya shillings 48,342,501, and Kenya shillings 47,485,947. These are just the payment vouchers, two different payment vouchers. Iregi Roads, payment of Kenya shillings 46,774,225. Malava Road, 35,985,463. The county made a payment of 22.2 million pending bills despite being marked ineligible in the report. Navakholo Road has been listed twice under the same tender number 83226. The contract was awarded or executed by similar contractor Midland Construction Company. The LSOs were drawn on different dates and amounts outstanding also deferred. The project for the provision of county valuation roll was tendered at 13,291,000 99,100, despite the contract sum being 99,719,600. Following the above, the committee undertook a fact-finding visit to Kakamega County on 20th of November 2023. In respect to inspect some of the roads listed above, the committee inspected the Ingotsi Navaholo Chebuyusi 11.5 kilometer road. Thereafter, held a meeting with the county executive to provide clarification on other issues that has been flagged out from the report of the Auditor General. The committee also engaged the County Assembly of Kakamega. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the fact-finding, the committee noted the following: the proposed construction to bitumen standard of the road projects are ongoing projects, and thus only certified works were eligible for payment and therefore listed as pending bills. Copies of procurement documents relating to the road projects were availed to the committee. These projects are multi-year projects and funds are allocated annually depending on the expected completion rate. The aforementioned roads and projects are Sitirire Malava Tumbeni, 7.5 kilometers, Ingotsi Navaholo Chebuyusi, 11.54, Bushiangala Iregi Losiola, 9.2, Matungu Ongolo, 9.3. On the issue of Navaholo Road being listed twice with the same tender number 820-226, the committee informed that the payment related to two different progressive interim certificates, number 1 and 2, for 48 million and 47 million respectively. On the payment of 22.2 million, which was ineligible pending bills, the county executive indicated that the payments were under review and verification. The management committed to ensuring verification of pending bills is carried out before payment of pending bills before payment of pending bills. The county phased out the project of valuation roll due to the high cost involved, and the first phase of 13 million was already dispensed. The committee directed the Kakamega County Executive to prepare and submit a detailed pending bills payment plan indicating a schedule of all verified eligible pending bills within 30 days. The statement of status of bills at Kisii County and county government in Kenya by Senator Richard Onyonka MP, the committee considered and noted the responses to the statement was inadequate by Kisii County government. The committee held a meeting with the county executive of Kisii and resolved that the county executive should undertake evaluation of the completion status and amount of works done which may be certified for payment, and the executive should prepare and submit to the Finance Committee a comprehensive report on the status of pending bills, both eligible and ineligible, by 30th of October 2023, indicating the progress made in segregating the ineligible pending bills. However, the county executive requested for an extension of time to 30th of November 2023, which the committee granted. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the status of access to county government procurement opportunities, AGPO by Senator Karen Nyamu, the committee considered and analyzed the response from the National Treasury. Consequently, the committee held a meeting with the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority to deliberate the matter. During the meeting, PPRA informed the committee that most of the public institutions rarely submit their reports to PPRA on the compliance of AGPO requirements. The committee directed PPRA to formally write to all public procuring entities requiring them to comply with the reporting requirement on AGPO matters. Thereafter, PPRA will submit a report to the committee on the progress of compliance and also on the legislative gaps in the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act that may require amendment to provide for enforcement of reporting requirements. On status of pending bills in Vihiga County by Senator Godfrey Osotsi, MP, the committee considered the responses from the county and also held a meeting with the county executive. The committee has written to the county to provide clarification on the following issues: terms of reference for constituted permanent committee on pending bills, the actual total pending bills owed by the county executive as at 30th of June 2023, the total amount of pending bills settled within the first quarter and the financial year 2023-2024, the criteria used in determining the suppliers prioritized for settling of pending bills, justification for pending bills on recurrent expenditure that related to COVID-19 expenditures, a detailed pending bills payment plan, a list of suppliers who had not been paid and had not been listed in the list of pending bills. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the county visit to Kakamega on the 20th of November 2023, the county executive responded to two statements that were requested by Dr. Boni Khalwale MP on rental fees incurred by the county government of Kakamega and on revenue generation and usage by the county government of Kakamega. The committee directed the Kakamega County Executive to prepare and submit within 14 days a breakdown of the projected agricultural sales indicating expected collection from Butali Sugar, West Kenya Sugar, gold miners at Malinya, Rotsman, Bushiangala, and Lirembe. A detailed report on the status of construction of the county headquarters in order to reduce lease or rental expenses, and a detailed report on the status of completion of Ingotsi, Navaholo, Chebuyusi Roads project, indicating the amount paid so far and expected date of completion. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period, the committee invited the governor of CBK in its meeting on several occasions to respond to a number of statements before the committee. However, the governor has repeatedly requested for rescheduling of the meeting with the committee. The committee has now summoned the governor to appear before the committee on Monday, 4th December 2023, to respond to the following statements. 1. Claims of fraudulent activities involving various banks by Senator Maureen Mutinda, MP. Reintroduction of bank charges on mobile wallets by Senator Samson Cherargei, MP. Predatory asset-based lending by microfinance lending companies in Kenya by Senator Eddie Gisheru Okech, MP. High interest charges on loans offered by Momentum Credit Company Limited by Senator Samson Cherargei, MP. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee will schedule a meeting to discuss the following analysis of the responses that were submitted on the following statements. Pending bills in Wajir County sought by Senator Abbas Mohammed, MP. Payments made to all garbage collectors and sewerage services provided by all counties for the financial year 2021-2022, 2022-2023, and 2023-2024 by Senator William to the Kenya National Trading Corporation Limited, requested by Senator Chute Mohammed, MP. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee received the following statements and has requested for responses from the relevant institutions. The status of 16 billion pending bills by the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, closure of bank accounts of SME by Standard Chartered Bank requested by Senator Samson Cherargei, MP, socioeconomic impact of the Hustler Fund requested by Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP, on-source revenue collection in Kisumu County requested by Senator Professor Tom Ojienda, Senior Counsel, MP, debt waivers and bailouts by the government requested by Senator Andrew Omtata Okioti, MP, status of receivership at Kenya National Assurance Company by Senator Mohamed Fakhi, MP, the statement concerning claims of an economic crisis in the country by Senator Richard Onyonka, MP, statement of pending bills in Taita Taveta County by Senator John Mwaruma, MP, pending bills accrued by the county government of Kisumu by Professor Tom Ojienda, MP, Senior Counsel, customs regulation and taxation for travelers returning to Kenya via Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and tax incentives available that support climate change programs in Kenya, which was sought by Senator Hamida Kimbwana, MP. On petitions before the committee, Mr. Speaker, the committee is currently considering a petition on regulation of credit profession by CCP, Mokaya Magembe Bernard, Council of Institute of Credit Management of Kenya, that was committed to the committee on 23rd May 2023. The committee held a consultative meeting with the petitioner. Further, the committee resolved to invite the governor of CBK to a consultative meeting to deliberate the matter. However, upon invitation, the governor has repeatedly requested for rescheduling of the meeting. At its 93rd meeting held on Thursday, 23rd November 2023, the committee resolved to summon the governor to a meeting scheduled to be held on Monday, 4th of December 2023. The Governor is expected to submit views on the proposed legislation on regulation on credit profession. On legislative proposals considered by the committee, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee carried out pre-publication scrutiny and examined the following legislative proposal: the Central Bank Amendment Bill 2023, sponsored by Senator Eddie Okech. At its sitting held on 23rd November 2023, pursuant to Standing Order 131-1A of the Senate Standing Orders, the committee examined the proposal sought and the views of the sponsor and recommended to the Speaker that the legislative proposal be published as a bill. Subsequently, the committee submitted its comment to the Speaker pursuant to Standing Order 131-3A of Senate Standing Orders. On Cryptocurrency Asset Bill 2023, sponsored by Senator Alan Chesang MP, the committee considered a brief on the proposed law and resolved to invite the sponsor to deliberate on the matter. Additionally, the committee has requested CBK to provide comments on the proposal. The committee has summoned the Governor to a meeting, as discussed earlier. Approval hearing held by the committee. Mr. Speaker, during this period, the committee, jointly with the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning, conducted an approval hearing for nomination of Mr. Andrew Mukite Musangi to the position of Chairperson of Central Bank of Kenya Board of Directors. Both houses approved the report of the committee. On status of implementation of projects funded by conditional grant on supplement of construction of county headquarters. Mr. Speaker, sir, projects funded through conditional grant for construction of county headquarters in Isiolo, Tharaka-Nithi, Nyandarua, Tana River, and Lamu have delayed for an inordinately long time as a result of lack of proper financing framework. The projects have faced challenges such as disbursement of funds to counties and litigation with contractors. The funds are allocated through the State Department of Public Works and released to the beneficiary counties, subject to fulfillment of the conditions. The committee has held consultative engagement with the State Department of Public Works, the Council of Governors, area senators, the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, in order to forge joint position to determine the best way forward on how to fast-track these stalled projects to ensure the intended purpose is accomplished. A consultative meeting with the governors of the beneficiary counties, the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, State Department of Public Works, the National Treasury, senators from the region, and the committee was held on 28 November 2023. Surprisingly, Mr. Speaker, all the stakeholders appeared except the 5 governors. Only one governor, Kiaria Badilisha, governor for Nyandarua County, appeared. The meeting was therefore adjourned until a date when the 5 governors will be available. Activities of the committee in the next quarter. Mr. Speaker, the committee is scheduled to consider the following business: the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 40 of 2023, the County Public Finance Laws, statement pending before the committee, petition on regulation of credit profession, implementation of projects funded through the conditional grant, construction of county headquarters, consideration of the control of budget, county government budget implementation report. Mr. Speaker, finally, the committee appreciates all the stakeholders who are available for consultation and for valuation of the information availed to the committee. I also thank the members of the committee for dedication and commitment to ensure execution of the committee's mandate. I also acknowledge the support accorded to the committee by the Office of the Speaker, Office of the Clerk in facilitating committee to the effective implementation work plan. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you and I submit.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Health. The statement is deferred. Chairperson, Standing Committee on Education. Senator
Thank you,
Paris,
Speaker.
what's going on?
No, Mr. Speaker, I was responding to my chair here, the chair of Transport Committee. But,
That's very amusing.
All right.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B to make a statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee on Education for the period between 1st July 2023 to 31st October 2023. Honorable Speaker, the Standing Committee on Education is established under Standing Order 2283 of the Senate Standing Orders and is mandated to consider all matters related to education and training. During the period under review, the committee held 34 sittings, during which it considered 18 statements and 1 legislative proposal and 3 petitions. During the same period, the committee also held 1 consultative workshop with its stakeholders and conducted oversight visits to acquaint itself with the implementation of education legal and policy framework in Turkana County. The petitions, Honorable Speaker, during the period under review, 3 petitions were committed to the committee for consideration. A petition regarding salary arrears for P1 teachers with A-level academic qualifications from 1996 to 2010. Honorable Speaker, the petitioners in this petition prior to the Senate is that the National Treasury factors in the salary arrears for P1 A-level teachers with A-level qualifications owed to them in the years 1996 to 2010. During the consideration of this petition, the committee held a meeting with the petitioners to seek clarification on the issues raised in the petition and thereafter identified key stakeholders in the matter. During the period under review, the committee held several meetings with the Teacher Service Commission to deliberate on the issues raised in the petition. With the Teacher Service Commission on Thursday 30th, 2023 to finalize on this matter, and thereafter a report and a response to the petitioners will be prepared and tabled in this House. B, petition concerning the discrimination by Teacher Service Commission on payment of hardship allowances and enhanced house allowance to some teachers in Kilifi County. Honorable Speaker, in this petition, the petitioners are praying for the inclusion of some parts of Kilifi County as hardship areas and the inclusion of Tuapa and Mariakani towns as major municipalities to allow teachers working there to draw an enhanced house allowance of category 2 under major municipalities. Following the committal of this petition, the committee resolved to invite the Chief Executive Officer of the Teacher Service Commission and the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Performance and Delivery Management to respond to issues raised in the petition. C, there was a petition concerning the discrimination in the payment of hardship allowance to teachers in Taita Taveta. Mr. Speaker, the petitioners argued there is unjustified discrimination in payment of hardship allowances in Taita Taveta County and requested the Senate to investigate and find out if the Teacher Service Commission selectively pays hardship allowances to some teachers in Taita Taveta County. They further prayed that the TSC pays hardship allowance to all teachers working in Taita Taveta County without any further discrimination. Honorable Speaker, during consideration of the second and third petitions, the committee observed that the discrimination in payment of hardship allowance to teachers in marginalized areas has been a major concern over time. There exist discrepancies in designation of hardship areas and payment of hardship allowances to different cadres in the public service. To this end, the committee resolved that there is need to review the criteria used in determining and classifying hardship areas to ensure fairness, equity, and adherence to labor laws. Honorable Speaker, during the period under review, the committee invited the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Performance and Delivery Management to a meeting of the committee to deliberate on these issues. However, the Cabinet Secretary was unable to attend the meeting due to other exigencies of work. The committee further conducted an oversight visit during the Senate Mashinani in Turkana County and acquainted itself with the implementation status of education legal and policy framework in the county. During the visit, the committee observed that there are numerous challenges in the implementation of the sector policy for learners and trainees with a disability, and resolved to hold a consultative forum with all the relevant stakeholders to deliberate on ways to address these challenges. The legislative proposal, Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 131-1 of the Senate Standing Orders, the committee conducted pre-publication scrutiny on one legislative proposal, the Early Childhood Education Amendment Bill 2023, and thereafter prepared a report with a recommendation that the bill be published. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, I wish to thank your office and the office of the clerk of the Senate for the continuous support accorded to the committee in executing its mandate. Lastly, I also wish to thank the members of the committee for their dedication and contributions during committee activities. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tobiko. Now, Honorable Chairpersons, you know, the statements you're making made pursuant to Part 12 of our standing orders. And if you look at Standing Order 51, more particularly 51-2, these statements are supposed to be made under 10 minutes. Now, I've noted today that some of the chairpersons have talked beyond the 10 minutes. I have allowed you to get away with that, but going forward, just know that these statements must be made under 10 minutes. So as you're preparing these statements, please be guided accordingly. Next order, clerk. Clerk, kindly call the next order, please.
Order number 8, Committee of the Whole. The Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 30 of 2023.
Honorable Senators, we'll now move to the Committee of the Whole, and we are now considering the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 30 of 2023, and we'll go through the clauses. I'd like to request the Sergeant at Arms to kindly lower the mace. Okay, we can proceed.
Clauses 3 to 6.
I propose the question that clauses 3 to 6 be part of the bill. I put the question that clauses 3 to 6 be part of the bill, division at the end.
New clause 7.
Chair Finance. Some of which related to the issue of full facilitation to enable them to carry out their work fully as they contemplated, but in the circumstances, they still have provided a report that is important. Mr. Speaker, what happened in Shakahola can only be compared to what happened in Guyana in 1978, the Jim Jones mass suicides that happened there. I would want to urge this House to take this matter so seriously, because we have been told we have over 420 families that have lost members. We have over 420. Mr. Speaker, the recommendations of the committee around the issue of registration must be taken seriously. We currently have religious organizations registered as associations. They are registered by mortals and actually already regulated. So I found it extremely sad to hear comments like we are looking for God to regulate these institutions. Mr. Speaker, the issue of what a cult is and what a religious organization is not something that may straight easily be distinguished. And the only way you can prohibit cults and other like terrorist or other organization is to have regulations and requirements about those who claim to be running a religious organization. Mr. Speaker, religion has once been said to be the opium of the people, and it tends to be the opium of the very poor. It is the poor who are manipulated to actually do whatever they can in order to get out of poverty. And the exploitation of the poor in Kenya through religion is extremely high. It is something we should not shy from speaking about. Mr. Speaker, this is the country where you have people selling their properties, giving them to church leadership, and remaining poor because there is a hope that they will get rich at some point. We are actually watching as this happens. We are so terrified in this country to criticize religious leaders because as politicians, we want to rely on their psychological mobilization of their supporters to give us votes. But we have reached that stage where we must call a spade a spade. Mr. Speaker, religious organization and religion is now starting to be abused to be the new frontier for the abuse of human rights. Mr. Speaker, when you hear that a priest has sexually molested boys or girls, we don't cover that story for long. Politicians will not talk about it. because they fear that they will lose votes if they criticize the religious leaders who are doing these things. Mr. Speaker, I would want to urge that as a nation, we take this issue seriously and we do what we have to do. I would urge the team, as indicated, to consider, the country to consider following what Rwanda has done to ensure that religious organizations are actually vetted properly and regulated to ensure that they don't do what has been happening. Mr. Speaker, one challenge that I would want to raise in terms of the way we operate. As a Senate, we actually allowed an inquiry to happen on this issue, but I know simultaneously the executive is also investigating this issue. I know there is a clash, and we have had some members castigate or call to order the Minister for Interior for not allowing certain people to give evidence. Mr. Speaker, even as we proceed with this report, we need to recognize the provisions of Article 50 of the Constitution in terms of the right to fair hearing. So I would urge that we must find that fine balance between what we do as a house and what is happening out there, so that the rules of justice will not exonerate a criminal because we had parallel and conflicting methods of doing this inquiry. So I would want to wish that we all put our mind to this and find a way in which Parliament can actually do its job in terms of inquiries by committees, but we also let the executive take responsibility for its primary role in investigating criminal matters to ensure that both teams are able to focus on ensuring justice, particularly justice for those who are victims of the crimes that we are talking about. A number of issues were, and comments have been made on the floor, and Mr. Speaker, I would wish that we carefully consider the report and ensure that we contribute to ensuring that those perpetrators will be properly brought to book. Mr. Speaker, if this matter ends up with somebody running away from it because of procedural issues, it will be the sad day for this country. So I want to urge all our members to put their heads together and to give the confidence to the country that as leaders, we have all been saddened by the Shakahola happenings, and as leaders, we will do what it takes to ensure that all who are responsible for what has happened are brought to book. But beyond that, that the many others who are being exploited, the many others who are being murdered in different ways in the name of religion, that many others who are abusing religion, because I am a Christian, Mr. Speaker, and my reading of the Bible cannot justify what has happened in Shakahola. I'm very confident that the right-thinking leaders of churches will condemn this issue, and the right-thinking leaders of religion will want the country to come up with a regime of a regulation that will ensure that such a thing is not repeated again. Mr. Speaker, with high levels of poverty, we need to be careful, and we need to be the conscience of this nation. I therefore wish to commend Senator Mungatana and your team. In the circumstances, you have delivered what you could deliver, and I want to ask that the House supports this effort and any further efforts, because, Mr. Speaker, in any case, they finished because there was a timeline to finish. There was still other business that they were not able to carry out because it was still pending. As a house, we need to be seen by every citizen to support our own initiative to try and inquire into this issue, and all the support to give confidence to the families that were affected, that as a house, we take this seriously, and as a house, we will not be among those that will try to undermine any efforts to curb future happenings of this nature. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Muma. The next online is Senator Chalagay Samson Kiprotich.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want just to share a few thoughts on the report that has been brought by the committee investigating Shakahola. Mr. Speaker, even as we investigate Shakahola issue, Mr. Speaker, allow me to condemn the killings of 4 youth, Mr. Speaker, in Uasin Gishu County at the property of KDF. Mr. Speaker, we had agreed that the era of extrajudicial killings should not happen in this country. And therefore, Madam Speaker, the killing of Kenneth Kipkemei, Shadrach Kipkemei, Daniel Kiprotich, or Cornelius Kipkoech, simply because they were collecting what we call maize leftovers, or in our local language called Turanik. Madam Speaker, it is very unfortunate. I want to condemn with the strongest terms possible the era of extrajudicial killings, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, is very unfortunate. And the issue of extrajudicial killing should come to an end, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Kenya Defense Forces the KDF must be called to order, because even if those young people had transferred to their property in Eldoret, RTS, there are legal mechanisms on how trespassers should be handled. I think no Kenyan, even from the highest office, has the power to take the life of any Kenyan. And therefore, we condemn the killings of 4 young people. My heart and condolences goes to the people of Tarbo constituency, Uasin Gishu County, and our prayers and thoughts, Madam Speaker, with them. And I want to urge the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, the Kenya Defense Forces, to move with speed and ensure these young people get justice. And Mr. Speaker, even the injured, we want to see them being taken care of. I think it replicates similarity with what happened in Shakahola, where people take advantage of individuals to take out their life, Madam Speaker. And we know there is right to life under our Constitution, which should not be snuffed out by anybody, Madam Speaker. So we condemn it. The KDF Chief of Defense Forces, Mr. Ogola, must put in action necessary mechanisms for reparation, and those individuals must be taken to court-martial and be charged with allegations of murder. And also compensation must be given to those families, Madam Speaker. And we want people, the KDF officers allegedly who participated, they must be taken to court of law and be charged with murder. The Speaker, and finally, the issue of land there, that issue is almost being resolved. I don't know why there was a lot of issues.
Senator Cherarki?
Yes.
Now, you've been indulged for a short while.
Okay.
You know the debate is Shakahola.
Yes.
I think you're stretching
yes,
it.
but
You're stretching it too long. Now
Ms.
move to Shakahola, please.
Madam Speaker, is because there is some similarities where lives have been taken.
True,
If
but
you-
now
yeah.
the focus
Okay.
is Shakahola.
I stand guided.
I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I stand guided. Madam Speaker, when you look, you know, our Constitution is very clear. Under Article 8, it says there shall be no state religion. And it lives at that. That is Article number 8 of the Constitution of Kenya. Right to worship and freedom is enshrined under the Bill of Rights, here and across the world. I have seen the observations that the committee have made before I go into recommendation. I agree with them that this, and I've been pushing this, especially when we were investigating extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearance, Madam Speaker, that National Forensic Laboratory at the DCI should be given the money to do their job. Most of the cases in court are collapsing, especially by the prosecution, because of lack of investigations, Madam Speaker. Because we don't have a properly functional in the upgrading of biology forensic laboratory and also chemistry forensic lab that we need to upgrade. If we have to fight crime in this country, we must invest in investigations. Most of the criminal cases that are being withdrawn by DPP, that the DPP, whether it is white collar crime, whether it is the normal criminal elements, Madam Speaker, is because we don't have a proper and functional laboratories that investigate the issue of DNA, crime scenes, and what have you, Madam Speaker. And therefore, we must ensure that we give enough resources at the DCI, especially for these forensic laboratories, so that we are, Madam Speaker, you sometimes see, even in first world, like America and other countries, somebody commits an offense maybe 20 years ago, but because of modern technology, those people are being arrested and prosecuted because that the limitation of crime in criminal aspect does not exist. So where I sit, Madam Speaker, I want to implore, and I know the National Security and Foreign Defense Vice Chairperson is seated behind me. She needs to seize the matter and forward it to the counterpart committee of my brother, Mheshimiwa Tongoyo, of National Security Foreign Relations in the National Assembly, so that they are given proper budgeting. That's how we'll be able to address crime, Madam Speaker, because most of the criminals are working scot-free. Because the scene was interfered with, we don't have proper medical, Madam Speaker. Even though the issue of proper processing, the issue of clearance certificates, Madam Speaker, as you are aware, government is looking for money anywhere and everywhere at the moment because of the unfortunate and downtown economic times that we are having. I agree that we need also to make sure, that's the way we are doing with the government printer. Let us give enough resources to DCI to have modern equipment to generate police clearance certificates. And you can see it can generate good money. If we are processing, Madam Speaker, 4,500 and the capacity is 20,000 per day, yet we are processing 4,500 per day clearance of the police. If we give it maximum, the same money will go back to sustaining the DCI and even assisting government with the revenue. So I agree on those aspects. Only 3 issues I wanted to agree with the committee on the observation. I remember in the last session, we did raise the issue about National Coroner's Act. We have passed, we summoned the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, and then the Attorney General Kiharan, then they could not, why they have not operationed the National Coroner's Act. That's how that is why the bodies cannot be processed from Shakahola and be released to families. Simply, the Coroner's Act has not given proper way of processing and ensuring that the rightful, because there are many, when you go to KNH, City Mojari, there are many unclaimed bodies. Because if they had operationalized the law, it would assist by clearing some of those backlog, so that we give the coroners an office, Madam Speaker, and of these deaths, and be able to not be unclaimed bodies. You know, it's an African to say a body is unclaimed. You know, it is not good according to us, Madam Speaker. And therefore, essentially, what we are saying is that I don't know. I tend to imagine that the JLAC committee, where you sit as a member, has been given power to follow up on this implementation matrix, and I hope you will summon the. You will invite the Attorney General. I don't want to say someone, it's a strong one, to invite the Attorney General. Tell us why the National Coroner Service Act, which we passed here in 2017, is not operational. Because we are slowing down. Many people are blaming Dr. Johansen Odwor or other individuals, yet we have not given them the necessary systems to ensure they do their job through National Coroner's Services. Speaker, when you look at many other issues that have been raised, on 1 or 2 issues, I make observations so that I allow my colleagues. Of course, we have talked about the matching of DNA including the former members of Kilifi County Security. I agree that
there's a point of information. Do you want to be informed?
No, I'm not interested at the moment with any information. Let me just prosecute. The Director of Criminal Investigates the securities and national security officers. I agree. If there were lapses with NIS at the ground level, the county security team, I think if there was action of commission or omission, then it must be put in place. And those are, I think the DCI and the NGAO or the CS in charge of Interior, they should give us a reasoning, like administrative action has been taken against some officers, or whether some of them have been shown cause, reprimanded, or they have been fired. And that is why, Madam Speaker, some of us have always insisted that in the county security team, why don't we include the governors? And we had a push and pull, we have moved to court, we have argued, because if governors were part of this county security team, maybe some of these things would not be happening. Because wananchi would be comfortable to tell governor something than tell a police officer or tell an NIS individual. So I think we need to rethink in the county security structure. Why don't we ensure governors become part of the county security team, Madam Speaker? So in all this aspect, I think if there are people who are culpable or ignored, Madam Speaker, and my heart of empathy and sympathy goes to many families because of this misguidance, Madam Speaker, lost their loved ones. And also it's more traumatizing that some of the families are yet to trace their loved ones, are yet to be part of their loved ones, Madam Speaker. I know, Madam Speaker, I think there is a song by Sasha Male that I shall preach the gospel of Jah across all the nations and kingdoms. We agree they should preach that gospel, but there should be some decency. They must be within the law. And I think what we are just saying, Madam Speaker, is that people should do what their constitution gives them to do. But you should know where your rights ends, another person's rights begins. And that is the essence. So if you have the right to worship, you should worship within the law that has been provided, the right to life, and many others, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the fifth point that I want to make is I agree with the committee on the recommendation of reintegration of survivors. I found it odd, Madam Speaker, and weird that some of the survivors that were being moved from the forest, especially from Shakahola, or was it where, the police were arresting them. How do you arrest people who have been brainwashed? How do you arrest people, Madam Speaker, that they have distorted? Madam Speaker, I agree with the committee that they must be reintegrated to the society, and they must be support systems, even through counseling, postmortem, and other issues which I have seen the committee have highlighted here. Mine is just to re-emphasize and amplify that let them be reintegrated. It doesn't make sense, Madam Speaker, to reintegrate the survivors, rather than arresting them. These are people that have been brainwashed, and that is why, Madam Speaker, in the last session, we were pushing to have mental health bill, because issues of mental illness in this country is becoming a reality. You never know, other people, because of stress, post-traumatic, because of accident, because of giving birth, because of many other stresses that can lead to mental disorder and it becoming a disease. Madam Speaker, I think there is a country that they have appointed a Minister of Happiness and Goodness. So I don't know, with the stress that is in the country, you never know, we might end up needing a Minister of Happiness and Goodness so that they can make sure people are loving and enjoying themselves. Lakini si kupika sherehe. Madam Speaker, another point that I wanted to make is we agree we need to fight extremism, but we must integrate the religious leaders, be it the Muslims, be it the clergy, be it others, Madam Speaker. Let them be part of this so that we prevent extreme ideology. And I think the bottom line we are trying to make is self-regulation. But we agree that the issue of monitoring, observatory, or to use to avoid extreme ideologies, and we know the effects of extreme ideology, especially where it has reached cases of terrorism that are terror-related in the world. Madam Speaker, you have seen a number because of extreme ideologies. We want to call, even as NGAO, even at the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Foreign Defense, and other, even the government, I want to urge them, let them work closely with the religious leaders and the organizations that are there, do self-regulation, because what I hate to see is where we want to regulate religious organization. It will mean before a sheikh preaches, a government officer must go and look at the remarks of the sheikh. Or before a pastor preaches, you must look at the sermon. Where does it go about, Madam Speaker? So I think from where I sit or I stand, Madam Speaker, is to put in place the necessary mechanisms on how we can tame the issue of extreme ideologies. And we can see it has brought down the countries because of other related churches. And it is not, Madam Speaker, I have seen people, the issue of terrorism is not unique to a tribe or a religion or a clan. It has shown that it affects all races, all tribes, all nationalities. So there is a misnomer in the world that when people come from certain clan or tribes or regions, their affinity to terror-related issues is very high. No. It has been proven, even ages, Madam Speaker. Whether you are old or young, I know we had a debate in the morning whether people are young or old or new or old, But the point I'm trying to make, it doesn't care about the religion. It doesn't care about the social status. We have seen there was a case, I don't want to mention that religious organization in this country, where all advocated to sell all the property and give it to a religious leader, which is very unfortunate. I have seen cases, Madam Speaker, where people, they give birth, a child of 2 weeks, they go to a function of a church, and then that's a two-year month. I have seen cases where the, Madam Speaker, and I think you suspect the religious leader I'm talking about, where you are being told your husband or your wife is the real devil, and you end up breaking down marriages and families, Madam Speaker. Those are issues that we want to get rid of. Let us get the real teachings of religion, be it the Christianity, be it the Islamic, be it the... Kenya is a multi-religious society. We have the Hindus, we have the traditionalists, like some of us, we have the Christians, we have the Muslims. Read my brother, Senator Chute Mohammed. We have a number of us. We have people who are atheists. I've seen their, what you call, atheist forum of Kenya, Madam Speaker. I think they were objecting even us being sworn by the Bible and many others. So these are things that are related. And I want to quote you, Madam Speaker, what you said in Karl Marx's principle, that religion is the opium of masses. Is it true? We saw a religious leader saying, if you bring 500 to my church, I will not take it. If you bring coins, I will not take it. So the point is, are we allowed the religion to go wrong? But my own opinion, where I disagree with this committee, I don't want to go what you had ruled about in the morning, where I disagree totally in this committee, and it will water down the entire report, is the committee propose religious organization to provide legislation for regulation of religious organization. We want to live, that is why I've quoted chapter 6. Chapter 6? Chapter 8, sorry, Madam Speaker, Article 8 of 2010 Constitution. There is no state religion. Government has no business to serve or regulate, Madam Speaker, religion organization in this country. On this one, I totally disagree. Let the church and religious organizations self-regulate themselves, number one. Number two, let the penal codes, criminal laws are there. If I am a lawyer, Madam Speaker, and you and me are admitted to the role of advocate by LSK, if today we violate that LSK or REM, and Senator Mungatan also is a senior lawyer in this country, when you offend the law, they don't say you charge because you are a lawyer. You are taken through the criminal procedure. What I'm saying, let the necessary agencies weed out the criminals who are using religion as a shield against and misleading the people. It's as simple as that. If we started regulating the church, we are violating Article 9 and Article 8 that there is no state religion. We are infringing on the right to freedom of worship and others, Madam Speaker. If we were to do that, it will mean every individual will ensure, Madam Speaker, that we need to self-regulate. So on this one, on this recommendation, this on the proposed religious organization bill 2023, Madam Speaker, this is setting us against religious organizations, which some of us would not be interested to be part of it. Let us strengthen the criminal justice system. If you are a pastor and you commit an offense, fail full force of the law. We don't need to come and regulate people to force them to believe in their faith. Faith is your personal relationship with your God, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, so I think I would want to end at that, Madam Speaker, and say with that reasoning of regulating religious, I will oppose this report, and I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me, first of all, take this opportunity to thank the ADO committee for the work they've done. They've done a very good job. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the many witnesses who took time and had an opportunity to come before the committee to give their evidence. Honorable Speaker, we've lost, until the time the committee finished their work, we've lost 429 lives. Lives of an elderly man, an elderly woman, a child, men and youth. Honorable Speaker, yes, Article 8 says no state religion. That's true. And then Article 26(1) also states that every person has the right to life. Every person. Article 30 also says, person shall not be held in slavery or servitude. If you look at what happened at Shakahola, so many people, I don't know what type of languages they use on these people. They are just like slavery, they are just like slaves. They are just there without knowing where they are heading, where they came from, and what they are going to do next. Very unfortunately. And this, Honorable Speaker, I've seen this happening in churches also, in mosques also. You'll find, if you watch national TV on Sundays, you'll find a priest telling people, if you want a baby, bring seed money. And the seed money is 10,000 shillings, Honorable Speaker. How can you tell a person who has come to that service to pray to his God, you tell that person that you've not gotten a child for many years? I'll pray for you, but you have to pay some fees, which is called seed money, 10,000 shillings. You will find the same scenario in the mosques. A sheikh will tell somebody, oh, you didn't get a child, yes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pray for you. There is a water I'm going to pour on you. You have to remain naked or do some things there, and then you pay some fees for it. I don't know what method these people are using to brainwash an adult of sound mind, even some with degrees, master's degrees, professors. I really don't understand. So what happened in Shakahola? The most important part is these people, the priest or those people who are involved, must be taken to court. The DPP should take a very quick, drastic action to make sure these people, they have many cases. They can even take these people to court with what they have now, and then keep on adding. Yeah. So, Honorable Speaker, if you kill a hyena today in a place like Marsabit, you will be taken to court the following morning. You will be charged, arrested and charged. And how about 429 innocent lives lost, Honorable Speaker? I thought by now, because if you kill a hyena, you will be arrested and charged the same day. These people are supposed to be, without wasting time, to be charged and held responsible. It just should be expedited, even the charge sheet and all these things, so that they go to jail. Honorable Speaker, we have fundamentalists in our Islamic society. There is no difference. Somebody will be told, put a belt on yourself. With somebody with a sound mind, he puts a belt and then he's told, you know, go and kill this and these people, and you are going to go to heaven. Which heaven is this? Me, I don't know. Because you kill people, thousands of people, to go to heaven. This is all being brought in by people who use that religion in a crooked way. Some of them are really learned religiously. Some are very good religious scholars. Even priests, bishops are there. Honorable Speaker, I think we need to have some legislation in place so that if you call yourself bishop, Sasa even anybody, even me, Muhammad Chute, today I can tomorrow call myself Bishop Chute is there, or you guys will bring money. So how do I get this title of bishop? How do I get the title of bishop? Did I go through a religious process? Did I go through some school? Did I qualify to be a bishop? Am I registered as a bishop or a sheikh or imam? Honorable Speaker, there is no, in this country or even in the world, the most difficult and situation somebody can be in is using a religion. Somebody will tell you, if you go to heaven, you will get beautiful wives, you will get wines, you will get this and that. Now, and that person is brainwashed until you will find somebody saying, because I'm going to heaven tomorrow, I'll have women, nice, beautiful women, alcohol there, wine, nice food, and all these things. Let me kill people. And these are people who are calling themselves religious. Honorable Speaker, you know, if you see people praying in the first row, even in the mosque, or even in churches, you find a poor person sitting next to the gate of that church. You will find these people coming out of the mosque or even the churches, and this man is maybe begging for a few coins. They will just pass by. They will say, Urinani. But then a drunkard person can come and sit next to that person and start asking him, what is your problem? I need some money. That drunkard person, maybe he has got only maybe 50 shillings or 30 or something. He will share that money with that person and say, let me give you something. And the religious person has just passed. So, Honorable Speaker, people are using religion to steal. People are using religion to cheat. People are using religion even in the churches, taking women who come to the churches, even pastors and all these things. Even masheikhs. You will find a sheikh telling, if somebody comes there, has a problem with his husband, he says, you leave this man, I'll marry you. I have seen cases like this. And they are using religion. They will open a book, religious book, and say, do you know this part says, if this man gives you problem, you can have 3 months, you just stay with him there without doing anything. But then, after 3 months, you are free to go. That is what is happening. And it is time, Honorable Speaker, for this government to take action, not only against the Shakahola one, even those people who are preaching in churches, telling somebody, I'm going to heal you. They talk to people outside there. They bring in their brokers. They tell them, if I say who has a problem, you come and say, I am sick and I want to be healed. But this is predetermined. And then that person comes there limping like he's very sick and goes out of that place. I don't know what they do. They do something like this, and that person falls down. I don't know what magic or how they use it, I don't know. And then somebody stands behind that person and holds that person. After a few minutes, shaking, that person comes and says, now I'm okay, I'm healed. That is using religion in a very bad way. And, Honorable Speaker, you see, I am a Muslim, but I don't support fundamentalism. You can see youths today in Lamu are being used. They are not people from Somalia. No, they are not from anywhere else. They are local, our local children being used, using religion. They are being told, our religion says, if you kill somebody today who is not a Muslim or this, you are going to go to heaven. If you do this and this, and the people using these children, young boys and girls, are people who are calling themselves sheikhs and imams, calling themselves bishops, pastors. Honorable Speaker, you've seen what has happened in Britain. There is Catholics against Protestants. Catholics, they go to the churches, after churches, they parade on the streets that this is they are Catholics, this is their color, this is their band, fighting the rest. Then Protestants also, they have their own. These are the people, if you look at where they come from, where they are born, they are people who are learned. They are British. So these people were colonized almost everybody in this country. And then they go back and then they start using religion to kill each other. Honorable Speaker, Cherargei said earlier, there is no lab in this country. He is very wrong. There is a modern lab in DCI, recently launched. Maybe he's not aware. He needs to talk to DCI, the person in charge. I think hopefully he will be told. Finally, Honorable Speaker, the recommendations the committee has given, the most important one, and that should be adhered to, is the repeat of this kind of death. Forget about 429. Even one person dying because of religion, somebody using religion, somebody using brainwashing somebody that is going to go to heaven. Don't eat, don't drink, leave your husband, leave your wife, go and stay with us. This must stop. This kind of things must not repeat in this modern Kenya today, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank also again the Senate for taking that opportunity to even have a committee that can investigate, can travel to many places, can listen, give many, many hours of their time to listen through to what people are saying and to bring today to us the report they have given. I support that report. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Mutinda. Senator Mutinda, I understand you seconded this motion, did you? I think we give chances to other people. Senator Asige, please.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this report by the ad hoc committee. I too wish to thank, through the leadership of Senator Mungatana, for a very, very good and detailed report. It really did go deep into issues that pertain to this matter, this heinous tragedy, Madam Speaker, and also the care and thoughtfulness that went into writing of this report. I read it with a very, very heavy heart. It felt like a movie when I read this report, Madam Speaker, because some of these things we don't even dream are possible. However, I believe that the committee did a very good job in handling the report, in writing it, and investigating it, and I'm sure there were many things that did not make it to the report and other areas they wished they would have had more time to unpack it. However, a job has been done, and it has been done well. So I thank the committee. Before delving into the debates surrounding the report, it's also crucial to acknowledge the human impact and distress experienced by those affected. I join hands with the chair in giving my condolences to the families and loved ones of all those still missing or who have departed due to this heinous tragedy. My empathy, thoughts, and prayers go out to all those affected, and I am in unequivocal solidarity with them. Their voices and experiences deserve the utmost understanding and consideration. It's unfortunate that the country lacks a mental health framework of handling mass atrocities, as noted in paragraph 503 of the report. We as a country are in urgent need for qualified counselors to be deployed at the grassroots level on a continual basis, and not wait for emergency cases such as this to happen. The report also notes that there are inadequate rescue centers for adults and children. I want to voice my agreement with its recommendation for county governments to establish rescue centers and operational counseling centers to provide mental health and support to victims of such tragedies. These services, through the recently passed Social Health Insurance Fund, should be available to all affected parties now and in future to ensure effective and progressive healing and reintegration into society. Because, Madam Speaker, I really do believe that we haven't seen the worst of the mental health issues that will arise from this year's Shakahola incident. It will interest the House that the WHO has declared loneliness to be a health threat. And through to this report, loneliness can leave many people vulnerable to vultures like Mackenzie by taking advantage of people by recruiting them and mass leading them into tragedies like the present one. Karl Marx famously said that religion is the opium of the people because it can be used by powerful people to oppress the weak and also make them feel good about being oppressed. Indeed, religion is a powerful tool that, left unfettered, can be used to cause great havoc in society as a whole, to families and to individuals. This unfortunate case has shown us that entire lineages have been wiped out, individuals have been isolated to the point of death, and societies have been devastated by the shocking turn of events. The potent power of religion, Madam Speaker, can be seen throughout history when we remember cult leaders such as Charles Manson. It's unfortunate that we still haven't fully understood how these dangerous leaders take advantage of people looking for belonging and purpose, using their vulnerabilities for sinister motives. What's even sadder is that this was happening right under our noses for years, maybe even decades, and nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. And now 429 people are gone, vanished. And there might be more, Madam Speaker. As a country, we need to learn from this and change our focus, because religious extremism affects everyone. It's also high time that the Communications Authority of Kenya takes the bull by the horn by connecting with social media platforms like YouTube, Twitter, the Meta platforms, and others to regulate content that could potentially have cult-like characteristics, or that distribute content that might result in harm to our people, be it mental or physical harm. Let the Ministry of ICT be proactive and put a stop to it before more harm occurs. Have we even begun to wrap our heads around the destruction that can be caused when artificial intelligence lands in the wrong hands within Kenya? Recruitment, indoctrination, crime. Are we really prepared? Our people deserve protection from potentially damaging influences, and taking action now is essential. The report at recommendation 10 requires that the Communications Authority of Kenya engage YouTube, Facebook, and other social media networks and sites that have content associated with Paul Mackenzie and his teachings, and I support, with a view to permanently deleting this content and removing the accounts. My plea to the committee is to not only remove any cult-like religious content, but also to take charge of how such content is shared in the future if it has already been downloaded. It's a plea to safeguard our community from potential harmful influences, to act now and to prevent the spread of such content by nipping it in the bud, because as we all know, as soon as something lands on the internet, it will never die. It will always exist in some way, shape, or form. So how are we going to regulate that has already been downloaded, is my question to the committee. I applaud the recommendation in paragraph 510 of the report that the Communications Authority should create a licensing category for religious broadcasting stations and develop guidelines for the approval and monitoring of religious content within 90 days of the adoption of the report. My further recommendation is that these guidelines give criteria on the immediate removal or suspension of licenses once extremist content has been flagged. As I conclude my submission, I would have liked to have seen disaggregated data as well on the victims of these crimes. What is the ratio of men to women, those in rural areas to those in urban areas, young people to elderly people, the socio-economic variance, and so on? Although it wouldn't be perfect, Speaker, this data would have helped to build the patterns around extremism and who is most susceptible, so that as a country, we can learn from this and strategize. Finally, Speaker, I urge the chair of the committee to give direction on what action should be taken with regards to the mental health and socio-protection of those who participated in these executions of innocent people, named as goons in the report, who are scared to death of retaliation if they come forward. They are stuck between a rock and a hard place, I would argue. It might not be all, but there might be individuals who were and still are being intimidated, being strong-armed, and being brainwashed into performing these crimes or hiding them from the police. It mustn't be lost on us that the victims are caught on both sides of this bloody fence. What is their recourse? It would have been good to hear more of that in the report, and perhaps we will in the days moving forward. Madam Speaker, I just want to say again that it's unfathomable what has happened to Kenyans and Kenyan families, and how easy it is to mix poverty with religion, with loneliness, and taking advantage of people's vulnerabilities, and turning all of that into a crime so unthinkable that it has made Kenya's history books. I thank you.
Senator Miraj.
Asante sana Bi Speaker kwa kuweza kunipa fursa hii na mimi niweze kutoa changizo zangu kwa kamati na mswada wa Shakahola. Kwanza ningependa kutoa pongezi kwa kamati yote ikiongozwa na mwenyekiti wao, seneta wa Tana River Bwana Danson Mungatana, kwa ujasiri na maarifa ya hali ya juu ambao wameonesha katika ripoti yao hii ambao wameileta katika jumba la Seneti. Lakini kwanza nitangulize masikitiko yangu katika yale mambo ambayo nimeyaona yamejiri tangu Shakahola ilipoletwa katika televisheni zetu.
tumekuwa na matatizo makubwa ya ugaidi na itikadi kali katika taifa letu, na tuliona yale mambo ambayo yalitokea wakati wa bomb blast na mambo mengine ambayo yameendelea kutokea. Na nimeona mfumo tofauti umetumika katika masuala ya Shakahola. Sisi kule Mombasa tulikuwa na tatizo katika msikiti mmoja, ulikuwa unaitwa msikiti Musa, ambao shekhe mmoja ambaye alipigwa risasi baada ya kusemekana kwamba kuna mahubiri ya itikadi kali ambayo yalikuwa yanaendelea katika msikiti ule. Speaker, tuliweza kuona mapolisi wengi wakiingia katika ile nyumba ya maombi, ule msikiti, na mambo yalitendeka, na hatimaye tukaona yule mhubiri Bwana Abudirogo mwenda zake akapigwa risasi, na mpaka leo hatujui, je, Abudirogo aliuliwa na serikali? Je, aliuliwa na wale wenzake ambao walikuwa wakifanya nao ile biashara ya itikadi kali? Hayo tuyaweke kando. Nimeona tofauti kubwa sana vile ambavyo mhubiri Mackenzie amebebwa katika kesi ya Shakahola, nikizingatia ya kwamba yale maafa ambayo yametokea mbeleni, ambayo yamefanyika na ambayo yalikuwa yanasemekana yamefanywa na wahubiri wa dini ya Kiislamu, ni tofauti na vile ambavyo imebebwa kesi ya mhubiri Mackenzie. Mpaka sasa Mackenzie yupo, hatujaona mashtaka ambayo amefunguliwa, na hatujajua kama pia atafunguliwa mashtaka, manake kulikuwa na mjadala wazi katika televisheni zetu za kwamba hakuna kesi ambayo anaweza kufunguliwa kwa sababu wale watu ambao aliwaangamiza kupitia mahubiri yake walienda huko kwa kupenda kwao wao wenyewe. So langu tu nilikuwa ni kutoa mtazamo wangu na fikra yangu ya kwamba ni tofauti sana jinsi kesi ya Shakahola inavyobebwa na zile kesi nyingine ambazo tumekuwa tukiambiwa ni za ugaidi na itikadi kali, nikizingatia idadi ya wale watu ambao wameathirika. Shakahola tumepoteza Wakenya 400, na hata tukiongeza zile idadi za yale maafa mengine ya nyuma ya ugaidi ambao umekuwa ukiangaziwa kwa muda. Na point yangu ni kwamba, Speaker, ugaidi ama itikadi kali sio wa dini ya Kiislamu pekee. Dini yoyote na mhubiri yoyote anaweza kuamua kufundisha watu yale ambayo hayapo katika vitabu vyetu vitakatifu. Na nipende kuipongeza pia ripoti hii kwa sababu wamekuja na mambo ambayo yananipa moyo kama mzazi katika hili taifa. Wamesema ipo haja ya sisi kama wazazi kufuatilia ni mafundisho gani ambayo watoto wetu wanafundishwa na hawa wahubiri tunapowapeleka kufunzwa mafunzo ya kidini. Na pia tutakubaliana kama Wakenya ya kwamba hata mimi nimeleta mswada hapa wa child parent, mtoto ambaye amepata mtoto akiwa bado ni mtoto aweze kurudi shule, kwa sababu haya yote kimtizamo wangu na fikra yangu tunayapitia ni kwa sababu watoto wetu na sisi wenyewe hatuna elimu ya kutosha ya kuweza kujisomea hivi vitabu vitakatifu. Kwa sababu wale watu ambao wameangamia pale wangekuwa wamepata elimu ya kutosha, hata tu basic education, Speaker, hawangeweza kupotoshwa hadi kufikia kuangamia. Hali zetu za umaskini pia zimechangia pakubwa, Speaker, kuona Wakenya wamepoteza maisha yao vile walivyopoteza, kwa sababu wamepewa fikra ya kwamba watakapokuwa pale watakwenda kukutana na Yesu mapema. So hiyo inaleta ile uvivu wa kwamba afadhali niende nikutane na Yesu na mimi niende peponi. Lakini ingekuwa ni mtu anapata mlo wake mara 3 kwa siku, ako na elimu ya kutosha kuweza kujisomea kitabu kile kitakatifu, basi hawa Wakenya wenzangu hawangeangamia kule. Pia, Speaker, ningependa kusema kwamba wale tunaowapa mamlaka ya kufundisha ama kuwa wahubiri katika madhabahu yetu wawe ni watu ambao wamepitia mfumo fulani na kupewa kibali cha kuweza kupeana mahubiri hayo. Jumla ya kuwa tuko na uhuru wa kujihusisha na dini tunayoipenda na tunayoitaka, lakini tumeona madhara makubwa sana kwa kuweza kuachilia hii sekta ya dini yetu iwekwe wazi. Tumeona watu hata pia wengine wamefungua biashara kwa kuweza kuwauzia watu kitu kama maji kwa kima cha pesa, na wamejitajirisha na kujibinafsisha wao wenyewe na kuweka madhara kwa Wakenya wengine. So mimi langu ni kusema napongeza, na pia ningependa kusema ya kwamba sheria ni msumeno, Bi Speaker. Lile ambalo linafanywa kwa dini nyingine basi lifanyike kwa dini nyingine, kwa sababu kosa ni kosa na hakuna justification ya kosa. Ikiwa kuna mtu ameangamiza Wakenya, hatua ichukuliwe kama ilivyochukuliwa hatua kwa wale wengine waliotangulia katika makosa hayo hayo. Asante, Bi Speaker.
Senator Abbas Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, I want to support the report, actually, and I want to commend and congratulate the committee led by Senator Mugotana of Tana River. I think that was a wonderful report, and it was very daring. I know there was a lot of challenges. Even in this house, people are asking funny questions. And I'm sure outside must have got a lot of challenges. And I want to tell you, I think you have done this country proud to be able to expose the truth of the matter. Honorable Speaker, Shakahola issue is actually an enigma. You know, something that you cannot be able to even comprehend it, how it happened. If it were not for a cattle header, more people have died. Somebody who was just grazing somewhere found funny things happening in a place. A camel header. But the most unfortunate thing is, this country has a very well-developed systems of structures in the approach administration. It has elders, Kumi. It has, you know, the structure from the sub-location up to the national level. Therefore, there was no way that 400 people can die without any notice, without anybody to see it. It can happen. There is no way an issue can take place in a place where there is a chief. The chiefs are the first-hand people who get the first-hand information. The sub-chief is the person who is in sub-location. The elders, Kumi guys, what do you call the Kaya groups? I mean, honestly, it is actually shocking. That how comes that all these human beings, all these leaders were blindfolded on this issue. It cannot happen. It must be something bigger than religion or anything else. Madam Speaker, actually, religion has no problem. The Christian has no problem. Islam has no problem. The problem is actually the way it is being used. The book of the Bible is there. It is very clear. It's well understood. And it talks of humanity. The Quran is there. It's very clear. It talks of humanity. And killing one person is actually an abomination, and that blood will haunt everybody. But when you kill 400 people, and then it was, you know, the most inhumane way of killing people, starvation. And then I was hearing from outside there reports that people, if they don't die, they didn't be buried and killed. This is a very unfortunate situation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, one thing is, we have, to date, even the way it is taken. And it seems this thing has happened normal, where the 400 people died. Nobody is talking about it up to now, properly. No action has been taken so far. This has been seen as it is something normal. We are not seeing, I'm not seeing anybody apprehended. We are not seeing people talking about it. The leadership is not talking about the whole thing. It's only the first few days. We ran around, and dug the graves, removed corpse, and there was the end of everything. This is a massacre. And somebody must take responsibility for it, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, extremism is actually with us. It's all over. It's there in the Muslim community. It is there in the Christian community. It's there in the others. It's everywhere. It has now become a source of doing taking a heinous action, where people have been murdered, where people have been mutilated, where people have been indoctrinated, where people have been given drugs. So under the influence of drugs, and people have been hypnotized, they have been told, as my colleague said, that you will go and see God I don't see how somebody will see God when you kill somebody. There's no way. You cannot be placed by God because you're a murderer. So, Madam Speaker, I think it's high time that one of the things I've seen is actually poverty. Poverty is playing a big role in this country. People are poor. So I don't know why these guys are also getting the money. So I think this government must also interrogate where these people are getting the money from. Because I'm being told, we are seeing where people who are employed in a good employment left their jobs. You see how, I mean, a whole house, maybe a household with 10, 8 people, 5, all of them are perished. So it must be something that we need to, I think we need to study this situation. We must go, so people must go and learn what happened. They must, not only this report, there must be a bigger issues. And it must be involving senior people. It must have be used, people are using a lot of money. Because that is the only thing that can silence any criminal act. When you use money, it's not even religion. When you use a lot of money is when you can silence the inhuman acts that somebody commits. Madam Speaker, I think we need to go back to the same place. We need to study properly. We need to fight all this kind of extremism. And I think, I mean, the other day I was hearing that let's register, organizations that deal with maybe churches or the religious guys. But people are shouting, no, saying, no, this is against, no. It is not against anybody. It's not any religion. If these kind of acts can take place, these people must be registered and must know what actually the things that are taking place in those institutions, in those churches, in those mosques. That we must at least be able to control this kind of, heinous action. There are people are dying, where kids have been buried, kids are leaving schools. So I think I'm even not impressed up to now that I am not seeing one single action. The report has given very good recommendations, but I don't know where it will see the light of the day. It will go even to shelters. So this Senate House, this House must take a further action. That these people must be brought to court. Those people now who are now in the remand, every day people are saying, oh, they should be released. How can you release somebody who has killed 400 people? Huh? When people die around, maybe the few, useless guys called Al-Shabaab, when they bomb somewhere and then few will died, the whole world cries. The whole world take interest in it. But I'm wondering, where 400 people have been killed, nobody is taking interest in it. So, Honorable Speaker, I think I would recommend, as they recommended, there should be a registration of all institutions. On all religious issues, all institutions that claim that they do anything to do with religion on these things, they should be vetted. Because you might come under the umbrella of aspects of religion, but of course, they are devil worshippers, most of them. Because nobody else can do kind of this business. One thing is, the committee should recommend a further action. What action are we going to take? Of course, I have had, through the report that a few policemen and this must be prosecuted. No, this thing is bigger than policemen. We must go up to in-depth of the matter. With those few remarks, I beg to support.
There are no more requests, so I call upon the mover to reply.
Madam Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to thank all the senators who have made their contributions and given their thought to this report. Madam Speaker, I want to start by acknowledging Tabitha Mutinda, Senator, who seconded this motion. I want to thank Honorable Senator Boni Khalwale, Senator Mohamed Faki, Senator Aaron Cheriot, Senator Enoch Wambua. Madam Speaker, I want to thank Senator Gloria Ruoba, Senator Mazayo Stewart, Senator Catherine Muma, who is on the chair, Senator Cherargei, Senator Mohamed Chute, Senator Asige, Senator Miraj Abdallah, Senator Abbas. Madam Speaker, I thank all of them for their profound thoughts, Madam Speaker. And I will undertake to ensure that the bill that we have attached will see the day of the light of day. We shall bring it to this House. This debate is not going to end here, Madam Speaker. But I thank them, all of these senators. And with those few remarks, I beg to move to reply. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Pursuant to Standing Order 84-1, I wish to make a determination that the matter does not affect counties and put the question. Honorable Senators, I put the question that the Senate adopts the report of the ad hoc committee to investigate the proliferation Honorable Senators, I put the question that the Senate adopts the report of the ad hoc committee to investigate the proliferation of religious organizations and circumstances leading to more than 95 deaths in Shakahola, Kilifi County, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 19 October 2023. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order. Senator Mungatana, kindly approach the chair. Honorable members. Just hold on. Majority, do you want to? Honorable Senators, we will reorganize the order for the afternoon, and we will move straight to order number 18 and then order number 22.
Order number 18, motion. Report of the second ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament, PAP, held in Midrand, South Africa from 15th May to 2nd June 2023.
Mover, Senator Mungatana.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the report of the second ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament held in Midrand, South Africa from 15th May to 2nd June 2023, I beg to move that the Senate adopts the report of the second ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament held in Midrand, South Africa from 15th May to 2nd June 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 1st August 2023. Madam Speaker, the Pan-African Parliament was set up with a grand vision of making sure Africa speaks with one voice. Madam Speaker, when the founders of Pan-Africanism, Kwame Nkrumah, the likes of the great African leaders of the days that were gone, like Julius Nyerere, Madam Speaker, when they came up with a vision that Africa needs to speak with one voice, they set up the group of heads of states who are only speaking on the arm of the executive. Madam Speaker, it became apparent that the executive alone cannot be the voice of the people. So, Madam Speaker, then the Pan-African Parliament was set up. The Constitutive Act was set up within the African Union setup, so that there is both the executive and the parliament. And Madam Speaker, this Pan-African Parliament was supposed to be a reflection of the voice of the people. And so on this 6th ordinary session that was held in Midrand, Madam Speaker, a lot of things were debated and agreed upon by honorable members from 52 African countries who are members of the Pan-African Parliament. What did we agree? Madam Speaker, we discussed issues to do with agriculture and climate change. What should be the response of Africa when it comes to climate change issues? Madam Speaker, we had, in fact, none other than the head of state of Kenya who addressed that 6th ordinary session. And Madam Speaker, he addressed it to a great ovation, Madam Speaker, from all the members of Parliament who came to Midrand, South Africa. Madam Speaker, he made suggestions that Africa is not going to be a beggar anymore. We have the resources. What needs to be agreed is what those big polluters must pay in terms of the carbon credit, so that Africa can put on the table that we have this and you have this, we exchange and we get value for what our resources can give. So, Madam Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to actually thank His Excellency the President. When we went to see him to seek his time to come and address us at the opening of that 6th ordinary session, Madam Speaker, it was with a lot of difficulty because of the schedule that he had. But Madam Speaker, he agreed to set aside time. And Madam Speaker, that was the beginning of setting aside William Ruto as one of the speakers for Africa. Madam Speaker, everybody in that room, Madam Speaker, we are all standing up and saying, for the first time, we have a president who is speaking for Africa. And we acknowledge what he did for us, and we are grateful for the work that he did when he came to Midrand, South Africa. Madam Speaker, we did deal with issues to deal with harmful practices against our women and our children. Madam Speaker, we said that things like FGM, and we passed these motions and resolutions, things like FGM should be things of the past. We spoke against albinism, against the trafficking of albinism. We spoke against trafficking of children, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, great resolutions were passed during this 6th session. Madam Speaker, I'm urging every member who will stand to speak on to this report, Madam Speaker, to support, because great things were happening. There was a reawakening of Pan-Africanism, Madam Speaker. Everybody was speaking well of what Africa can do when Africa comes together in various sectors. including agriculture, including energy, including our water resources. Madam Speaker, the Congo River, which is passing a large section of Africa, is capable of producing most of energy requirements in Africa, but it has not been exploited properly. We were saying we needed to come together so that we can exploit these resources and bring a renaissance for Africa. Madam Speaker, we spoke about the need to have a new platform for trading. Kenya shillings, Uganda shillings, Tanzanian shillings. You go to South African rand and all other trading currencies in Africa. We spent so much money, Madam Speaker, and we debated and agreed that there was a need for us to actually create an African platform. And Kenya was given this lead to try and create a platform where we do not have to take our money. We want to just buy things from Uganda. Then we have to go and purchase dollars, give them money to purchase the dollars so that we can use those dollars to buy the commodities from Uganda or to buy commodities from South Africa. So we are promoting currencies that are outside Africa, Madam Speaker, to the detriment of our own people. There was one bank manager, Madam Speaker, in fact a bank owner, who told us in committee that he owns a bank just across. He has a bank that has a branch across from Tanzania to the Burundi there. And Madam Speaker, he says it's a walking distance, but because this is another country, if he wants to transfer $3 million, equivalent of $3 million, it has to go all the way to New York. He has to pay some money. They keep the money for 3 days. Then they transfer it to the other. It's his own bank, Madam Speaker, but he cannot just transfer money to his bank because it is another border. And we said that Africa really needs to do something. We are spending billions of dollars paying these people, making them more rich, Madam Speaker, because we don't have a proper trading platform. So, Madam Speaker, amongst many things that we discussed and we appreciated and made resolutions on were things to do with how we shall carry out trade. Madam Speaker, the intra-Africa trade is so little. Between Kenya, from up there in Morocco all the way to South Africa, Madam Speaker, the amount of trade combined is so little as compared to the trade we do with other countries. You can imagine, Madam Speaker, Angola, they are easier, the way the trade is structured, it's easier for them to import things all the way from their former colonial masters than to actually just get it from next door South Africa. Madam Speaker, a lot was discussed. Committees were set up to look at these things. And for this reason, Madam Speaker, I want to commend this report to senators here to adapt it. And Kenya has earned its space as one of the space of the countries that is in front in terms of what we can do for this continent to move forward. Madam Speaker, I want to give credit to my colleagues. Although I head the Pan-African team that sits there, Madam Speaker, which was elected by both the National Assembly and the Senate, I want to commend the work Professor Kamar has done in her committee, Madam Speaker. She has made herself to be looked upon and relied upon as a person of knowledge, a person who is to be relied upon. Madam Speaker, Majimbo Kalasinga, Esther Passaris, Mheshimiwa Mokami, Madam Speaker, Kenyans in the plenary, we were there, and I was leading the onslaught, Madam Speaker. Everybody got to know that although we went late, because our elections were a little late than the others, we went and we occupied our space, and people respect our nation. We flew our flag high, and it was doubled when the president came to address the session. So, Madam Speaker, I want to commend this report. I want to encourage the support that we have been given by the Senate. The only thing I wanted to mention here, Madam Speaker, is that Senate needs to organize itself, because we were supposed to go for, I think, about a week for committee sittings. Honorable Professor Kamara and myself did not go. But the other members of the National Assembly, the three of them, were able to go. How this happened, we can't understand. Maybe we'll need some explanation. Because we are told Senate does not have money. How can Senate not have money to represent us, and the other people have money to represent, and we are talking about the same parliament? This is not something that we should encourage. We ask that we should manage our affairs in such a way that we don't lose our space. Madam Speaker, some of us in those committees, we have been given responsible positions, Madam Speaker, and we are relied upon. I am in the Finance Committee, and Madam Speaker, if the chairman is not there, they always call upon me to chair those sessions. So it was very sad that I could not go. And we even offered to pay for ourselves, but we were told that no, we will not be refunded. This shouldn't happen. We think this is bad management of these affairs because we are losing something when we don't appear, when we are not present. And I hope the administration of Senate is listening to me where they are. We need to arrange ourselves better so that we are not absent, because Kenya needs to occupy itself. It can't be that small countries like Equatorial Guinea are able to go and make their presence be felt. And Kenya, the country that is regarded as a powerhouse, is not there. This is just a shame, and this shouldn't happen. Aside from that, Madam Speaker, I commend this report, and I beg to move and ask the Honorable Senator Aaron Cheruiyot to second. I thank you.
Senator Cheruiyot.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to second this motion, which is the adoption of this report, which features proceedings of the first ordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament. Madam Speaker, first I will note that this Parliament has an extremely good name. We all love Pan-Africanism. In fact, we tease each other. Who's more Pan-African than the other? Madam Speaker, I was thinking about this Parliament 2 weeks ago when I accompanied the President to France, when he made his address to the EU Parliament, a Parliament of similar nature, though larger in size, albeit representing a much smaller population of about, I think, 450 million people. This one represents over 1 billion people with 250 membership. The European Union Parliament, I think, has 705 or something closer to. And I was drawing the parallels as I listened to their speaker engage with our president on the things that the EU Parliament can do, what issues they have a vote on, what issues they don't have a vote on. And you all know, Madam Speaker, about this conversation. And I kept on reminiscing and thinking back to us back at home here with Pan-African Parliament. When this Parliament was set up, Madam Speaker, and is captured even in this report, it was a dream of our founders that we have a Parliament that will help us speak with one voice as a people of Africa and confront the issues that face us, the challenges that that bedevil this continent, Madam Speaker, that we shall be able to come, reason together, as the Bible advises us in moments of challenge, and chart out policies that will uplift our people from raw abject poverty into nations of great progress. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, that dream is still a deferred dream. And I want to appreciate the work that has been done by our colleagues who have gone there over the years. I see this urge that is even captured in the spirit of this report to try and push the plenary session of the African Union to give additional statutory and legislative powers to this particular institution, Madam Speaker, because until such a time that we agree even on one simple issue, the unfortunate thing, Madam Speaker, is that you will struggle to find a single policy item across the African continent, which is a great tragedy. If it's about transportation, what holds in one particular region doesn't hold in the other one. And all these imaginary divisions between the Francophones and, I don't know, Anglophones, between the Southern Africans and the East Africans, and so on and so forth, Madam Speaker. It is our sincere wish that as a next extraordinary session of the African Union, and I know that there is soon opening up the vacancy of the chairperson of the African Union. The people that come out to convince us as African nations to vote for them to take chairmanship and lead that particular institution, Madam Speaker, must be people who believe in Pan-Africanism, people who will challenge all the 52 African states and tell them, sign on to these protocols that agree at least to trade policies. I see in this particular report, Madam Speaker, part of the things that we are being urged, in fact, the first resolution and the way forward from this particular report, Madam Speaker, is calling upon Pan-African parliaments of countries which have not yet ratified the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to raise awareness. This is the first instrument, yet I celebrate it because it's the most particular instrument, Madam Speaker, which, if we as African people were to sign on and agree to the trade policies that are enshrined in the bilateral, multilateral agreements that have been signed at African Union in 2020 when ACFTA came into practice, Madam Speaker, then at least they would have something to celebrate. It need not be that expensive to travel the way it is in Africa. It need not be that expensive, Madam Speaker, to communicate. It is cheaper to call people in far-flung parts of this world than even our neighbors next door, than some of our neighbors just within the same continent, Madam Speaker. You will recall, because of these boundaries and barriers that have been put on us, early last year, I remember part of the first things that this administration did, because we are Pan-Africanists to heart, and I know our President William Ruto, believes in this call and vision to heart. We flagged over consignment of tea to the country of Ghana under the ACFTA agreement, because we want to strengthen trade between African countries. Many of the goods that we buy from our fellow African countries, unfortunately, are not value added within the continent. People take tea from Kenya, they go and blend them in Dubai and ship it back to West Africa. The jobs have been created in other parts. The greater value of that particular product and commodity is gained in those parts of the world where this happens. And therefore, as part of ACFTA protocols, something that Secretary General Wamkele Mene has tried to convince our presidents each time there is a meeting of the African Union, is that let us at least make trade and movements of goods that are manufactured in Africa to be seamless. Unfortunately, what is the case, Madam Speaker? That tea that left KICC here in October got to Accra, Ghana in January of 2023, 3 months later. Because of all the challenges that you have to go through, clear these border posts, these that you are waiting and the other. Those are challenges that I see this report try to address. But unfortunately, my good friend Senator Mungatana, until you guys at Pan-African Parliament are given the full legislative mandate of what a continental parliament should be, to be able to legislate, such that when you sit in South Africa and you make those legislation, it applies to all the member states, then we can celebrate and we say we have a Pan-African Parliament. It is my hope and prayer, Madam Speaker, that during our time and season in leadership, that we shall make this dream a reality, so that our future generations don't have to live the curse of these colonial boundaries that continue to entangle and make Africa be strangers to each other. Madam Speaker, I must celebrate the decision that has been made by this administration, making it possible for all Africans to visit Africa without being asked for visas, Madam Speaker. It is embarrassing to ask your fellow African to give you a visa to visit their own country. And I am happy because Kenya joins only, unfortunately, Madam Speaker, it's only 4 other countries. I think Benin, Seychelles, and I don't know which 2 other countries. Rwanda, Madam Speaker, which have done it ahead of us, and that's why their tourism numbers are prospering. We need to do that before the end of this year, the way the President promised, so that other Africans can visit and the rest of Africa can catch on. And we remove this business of asking of visas from fellow Africans. So, Senator Mungatana, you have your work cut out. Much as I know you are beaming with pride, you have all the good intentions, we must work hard to ensure that we give you guys the full legislative mandate to legislate on issues that cut across the African people, basic common issues, issues of trade, issues of a single currency,
may be more complicated and are things that we can think about way later on. But there are certain things, at least that are administrative in nature, that no country loses when we integrate and we become better. If we were to trade, by the way, and I wish I had read those statistics, because I attended one of the ministerial engagements here in Kenya when Kenya hosted the gathering of extraordinary session of ministers of trade across Africa. I think it was in November. In August of this year. And the statistics were laid out in the open for us, that if Africa was to trade amongst itself, we can grow our trade volumes as the various nations of Africa by over 50%, just by being able to trade among ourselves without all these unnecessary barriers that we put on each other. Businesses to be able to grow unilaterally, you know. So, Madam Speaker, I appreciate the work that this team is doing, and I hope that you can carry on with this particular dream and vision. Push on, speak to our heads of states when they have their gathering in Addis for AU every other February, until they get and appreciate the need for us to strengthen the Pan-African Parliament to the dream, to be in line with the dream of our founding fathers. That is a day that Africa will celebrate and say, finally, we have been liberated. So good job, Senator Mungatana and the team that you lead from the Parliament of Kenya, and together with your colleagues in Midran, work for the people of Kenya. This is an extremely good report, Madam Speaker, that provides insight to all of us that are students and people that wish Africa to prosper. With those very many remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to second. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the second ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament held in Midrand, South Africa from 15th May to 2nd June 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 1st August 2023. Senator Chute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue of Pan-Africanism started many, many years ago. Madam Speaker, Pan-Africanism started with African Americans. I want to recognize people like Martin Delany and Alexander Cromwell. These are African Americans, not forgetting somebody from West Indies called Edward Blyden. Honorable Speaker, Pan-Africanism started because of the problems Africans in Africa and people in the white countries, Europe or even America, are suffering and what they are going through. Honorable Speaker, because of the help and assistance they got from their brothers in the US and in UK also, they managed to start the movements trying to secure Africa for Africans. Honorable Speaker, first Pan-African Conference was held from 23rd to 25th of 1900 in London. It was organized by a lawyer, barrister, named Henry Sylvester Williams of Trinidad. That is how our other African leaders, people like Kwame Nkrumah, Kenneth Kaunda, Haile Selassie, Marcus Mosiah Gavey of Jamaica, Patrice Lumumba, you know how he died, Julius Kabarage Nyerere, Robert Mugabe, Thomas Sankara, Kwame Ture, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Robert Sobukwe. These are all Pan-Africanists. If they were not if it were not for these people, Madam Speaker, today, some of these African countries would not have gained their independence. They sacrificed their life. People like Patrice Lumumba, you know, he died. He was executed. So if you look at the history of Jomo Kenyatta, he was in London washing dishes, working on some low-paying jobs because he wanted independence for this country. Honorable Speaker, a Pan-African Parliament, the issue of Pan-African Parliament, which is called PAP also, was set up to ensure all fully participation of African people in the economic development and integration of this continent. Honorable Speaker, if you look at what the African Union Assembly adopted, it adopted a protocol called Assembly/AU December 529, 23. That was in 2014, June. And later on, in September 2015, 15 members signed, member states signed for the protocol. And today, Honorable Speaker, we have PAP, which is Pan-African Parliament. Honorable Speaker, I wouldn't say much, but there is something which is quite alarming and disturbing and disheartening also. When our able leader, highly experienced politician, stands here before us today and tells us members of parliament from the National Assembly could manage to travel and members of the Senate cannot travel because they are cash trapped, because we don't have money. This is very unfortunate, uncalled for, and wrong. Honorable Speaker, I would want to ask, we are being paid and facilitated by the same government. We are representing our people, Kenyans, 47 counties. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the county like Marsabit, is the largest county in this republic. Traveling from here to my county, the farthest point is Ilret. It will take me 3 to 4 days to reach there. And this is, you cannot go for free. You spend a lot of money, time. And an MP who is having one constituency can afford to travel for Pan-African Parliament. And Honorable Mungatana, standing before us today, saying that, sorry, we didn't travel because we didn't have money. I know our majority leader is here today, and he's listening. Even if it will take us to have a kamukunji to discuss this matter, we need to do so as soon as possible. If we are strong, even Pan-African Parliament will be strong, even more stronger. If you look at the reason why Pan-African Parliament is there, is the same thing we are discussing here, is being adopted in Pan-African Parliament as one unit. When we were in Zambia with the President Ruto, he talked about Pan-Africanism and he talked about currency. He asked a very simple question. I said, why do we pay our payments in US dollars? Why not in Tanzanian currency? Why not in Kenya currency? Why not in Ethiopian birr? Why not in African currency called Pan-African cash, Pan-African notes, Pan-African money? And people the gathering there, people were so happy and they supported it. And this is what we must try and do. If you look at today, Madam Speaker, my first time I went to Dubai in 1990s. That time, $1 is 3.65 dirhams. Even today, $1 is equivalent to 3.6 dirhams, 65 dirhams. But if you look at Kenya shillings, when I went there, the dollar, the exchange, Kenya shillings exchange was $1 to 36 shillings or 38 shillings. So if you look at what the UAE government has done, they stabilized their currency. Today, if you look at the world market, UAE dirhams are there. You can do business in dirhams. Why not Pan-African currency? And I want to commend our members of parliament from Kenya. I know I've watched on many occasions Honorable Mungatana talking, and he represents us with a lot of qualification and a lot of experience. And I want also our leaders in this Senate side to help them, facilitate them to not be able. They must be able to travel not from their pockets, from government resources. This is not government resources. In fact, it is public resources. It's us, the people of Kenya, who are paying. We are not representing ourselves in this Senate. We are representing Kenyans. We are here to represent and to represent to the best of our ability. And if we don't have money to travel, if we don't have food to eat, how can you expect Honorable Mungatana to represent us there in his absentia? He's not there. He cannot represent us. Having said that, I would want to support and say, please, to the also leader, please take note of what Mungatana said. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
There is no other request, so I call upon the mover to reply.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Senator Aaron Cheruiyot, our very able majority leader, for seconding the motion. And I also want to thank our very experienced and very knowledgeable Senator Mohamed Chute for his contribution on this motion. Madam Speaker, we have made our sentiments known, and we still intend to be very strong on the Pan-African Parliament, and we intend to play our role very strongly in the Pan-African Parliament. Madam Speaker, the Senate actually leads the delegation, and I lead the delegation of Pan-African Parliament. And Madam Speaker, when it comes to the Commonwealth, it is the National Assembly that leads the delegation. But for Pan-African Parliament, Madam Speaker, it is the Senate that leads the delegation, and I hold that office for now. So it is not correct that we don't get the full support that is required, while on the other side, they are doing what they need to do. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, we are ready, and we are ready to continue to work. Myself and Professor Kamar, Madam Speaker, we sent very good, very respected people in that parliament, and we intend to continue playing our role, representing this country, and doing it in style. Madam Speaker, I beg to reply. Thank you.
Pursuant to Standing Order 84-1, I wish to make the determination that the matter does not affect counties and put the question. Honorable Senators, I put the question that the Senate adopts the report of the second ordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament held in Midrand, South Africa, from 15th May to 2nd June 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 1st August 2023. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 22, the Tea Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 1 of 2023, second reading.
Senator Cheruyot.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the Tea Amendment Bill of 2023 be now read a second time. Madam Speaker, this is a very important bill that was brought to this House by yours truly in the last Senate. At that particular time, Madam Speaker, the thinking among us, many of our colleagues, was that this is an industry that was heavily disorganized, despite the fact that it is the goose that lays a golden egg, so to speak, the largest foreign income earner to us as a republic. Yet, its primary producers and the citizens that oil this wheel and ensure that we have the millions of kilos of tea to sell at the Mombasa auction and earn the country the much needed foreign exchange, were continuing to wallow in poverty. And it came at a time, Madam Speaker, where in 14 out of the 47 counties that grow tea in this country, farmers were actually uprooting the crop, having been heavily dissatisfied with the things that was happening in this particular industry. And therefore, we moved a motion in this House, Madam Speaker, supported by our colleagues. We formed an ad hoc committee. We went across this country, took views from farmers, and after we collapsed all the views into a bill, then known as the Tea Bill of 2020. We passed it here in the House. It was headed to the National Assembly, where they equally made significant changes. At that particular time, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Agriculture seemed not interested in our endeavors as a House of Parliament. And this is a lesson for colleagues who I see many times try to pass bills and they come back and say, oh, how comes the ministry is not interested? I always tell them this story, that when we first began this exercise, the ministry appeared before the Agriculture Committee of the Senate and said that they were not interested in the legislative exercise that was going, because at that particular time, they were trying to pass certain regulations which they thought they would address. They soon ran into problems. Kenya is a heavily litigious country. We litigate almost anything and everything. In fact, somebody was joking earlier today with the many court orders that had come out of the courts this week that it wouldn't be long before a judge in Kenya issues an order barring the sun from rising in the east and setting in the west. Never mind how that can be implemented, Madam Speaker. And therefore, when the Ministry of Agriculture ran into headwinds with the regulations that they were trying to pursue at that particular time, they appeared before our colleagues in the National Assembly when they were considering the bill and dumped many of the regulations that they were trying to pass at that particular time. And because we had an egg and chicken situation, if we killed the bill because of those regulations, and there were one or two that even I, as a mover of the bill, had fundamental issues with, then we ran the risk of losing the entire bill and all the work that we had done. So we agreed at that particular time, and the binding wisdom in the House was that let us pass the bill, then at a future time, we'll have an opportunity to amend and clean up. So the bill was passed and assented to by the President, and the Tea Board of Kenya was set up, and they were supposed to follow through all those regulations. Immediately thereafter, of course, many aggrieved stakeholders went to court, and various sections of the Act were actually impunged. The Kenya Tea Development Authority, KTDA, which is a large stakeholder, they went to court because of certain sections of the law. East African Tea Trade Association, because of the levies that we had introduced on them. There is Kenya Tea Growers Association, which is an association of the multinationals that run the tea business in the country. They were not appreciative of the levies that we had proposed and one or two other things, Madam Speaker, individual factories on one or two other things. Therefore, this particular bill, as it is right now, this is an attempt to clean up that particular law and look into those provisions which at that particular time we felt that we didn't agree with them. And while Senator Sigei, who's a mover, or actually the drafter of this bill, has attempted to do a cleanup on certain issues of, if you read section 1 of the bill, on definitions about export and import, which was something that has caused a lot of challenges. And the bill is made up of lots of delete this, read this instead of the other. It is because of that cleanup and the history that I have just given, Madam Speaker, that the bill is drafted in the nature that it is. And if you move to section 4, of course, it speaks about persons being appointed under section 7(1) A, G, and F shall serve for a term of 3 years. These are the directors that you're speaking about in many public-owned factories, which are otherwise known as KTDA factories. Madam Speaker, something that we'll attempt to do a proper cleanup, because KTDA, Madam Speaker, is a managing agent. There could be in future other managing agents that will emerge and compete, say, with KTDA. And in fact, I hold the view that this will be the time. I'd wish to have a time that if there is a factory that is managed by KTDA on this side of the valley, let another one be managed just across the valley by another managing agent, so that farmers then can compare on the practices of management in the two factories. You know, without competition, Madam Speaker, it is impossible to achieve some of these visions and dreams that we have about gain to our farmers. Of course, that's part of what is being spoken to. If you move on to section 5, it's about definition of what the factory is and what their duties are. Section 6 of the bill is an amendment to section 31, Madam Speaker, which speaks of all the T's being brought into the special economic zone, enterprise, or export processing zone shall be declared to the board in the prescribed format. You know, Madam Speaker, that many of the factories are actually regarded as export processing zone, and there's a declaration that they need to make of what percentage of the T's they are retaining for local sales and what percentage they are sending out for exports. So it's just a part of the cleanup, Madam Speaker. Of course, Section 9 was fairly controversial because it was about the Kenyan tea and the ban of direct sales that we had at that particular time. And we said the argument then was there were people who are selling, it was to protect the auction. Because of the auction in Mombasa, Madam Speaker, tea farmers have continued to get value out of their crop because of the competition that exists amongst the buyers. But it was getting to a point where many, especially the multinationals and even certain private factories, were signing on private treaties and just selling off the tea without taking to the auction. And that compromised the quality, or rather the quantity of the price that the tea farmer was getting. And therefore, but there have been arguments by economists both ways. And at that particular time, we were actually inclined to having the law as was previously, where direct sales were allowed so long as an entity selling, receiving tea from the public, you sell your tea at a price higher than the average of the last 3 months at the auction. Therefore, we wanted to make that window open. But we didn't do it at that particular time because of the history I had given earlier. This is now the attempt to do it through this bill. That's why Section 34A is being amended to provide now that the trade of tea shall be either by auction or direct sales. And it provides in Section 2 of that all teas produced and processed and manufactured in Kenya for the export market shall be registered with the board prior to the exportation. You give just a declaration so that we control. But, Madam Speaker, there are many things that we want to do, some of which are not even captured in this particular bill, Madam Speaker. And when we go to the committee of the whole, we have the committee has recommended to the House, Madam Speaker, certain amendments. And even I myself, as a keen follower of this particular process, will be determining to the House. For example, at that particular time, Madam Speaker, we made a demand to all processors of tea that in 8 years' time, that is from 2020, all teas produced in the country, 40% must be value added. The story of tea is extremely sad, Madam Speaker. If you go to a supermarket down the street in London and picked a packet, the tea that is inside that particular packet, there is not a single thing that has been added from what it was processed at Nyansiongo, where Senator Mogeni comes from. But the value that the farmers that took to Nyansiongo that tea get, at best, is 45 to 50%. The other 50% is on the value add. And what is the value add, Madam Speaker? It's just a packet. And the brand, you know, calling it Twinnings. And I don't know, Lipton's, Kenyan-made tea, black English breakfast tea. You know, I was asking somebody, what is this thing they call English breakfast tea? And it's a brand that has been marketed and sold across the world. If you go anywhere, they tell you, oh, which tea do you want, Chinese or English breakfast tea? I have told the president, times without number, that before the end of this term, we must sell and be intentional about it, Kenyan black tea, until it sticks to the mind of everybody across the world. That if you go anywhere, insist and act daft, until people ask themselves, what is this? And say, please give me Kenyan black tea. So part of that provision that we made in that law, Madam Speaker, is that in 8 years' time, all processors and manufacturers, they need to value add at least 40% of that tea. Madam Speaker, I will be proposing and requesting my colleagues that we bring down that period to 5 years. 8 years is such a long time. In 5 years' time from 2020, despite the fact that many of the processors went to court and that provision still remains impugned up to now, we need to do a cleanup so that we will count 5 years from 2020 when this bill became an act of parliament, Madam Speaker, up to 2025 for them to begin to value add and our farmers to begin to get value for their money. The rest, of course, there are issues that other players and industry stakeholders brought before the committee, and I believe the committee will guide us on how to conclude. Therefore, Madam Speaker, that is a brief history of this particular bill, and I want to urge our colleagues to support so that we can be able to move on and grow the industry of tea. I celebrate the work of this House, Madam Speaker, because as we speak presently, we are considering laws on mang. There is a consideration of, there is a cotton bill, there is a sugar bill, there is a coffee bill, there is now the tea bill. If we can conclude on all this and give our farmers the proper legislative framework to anchor them and set them on the road to prosperity, then Senate will have played its rightful role. And with those very many remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to move and request Senator Karungo Thangwa, a representative of tea farmers as well, to second this bill. I thank you.
Senator Thangwa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to second this amendment bill of the Tea Act. Senators who come from the counties where tea was first introduced.